It's Wednesday. It's party stream.
I'm now just seeing. Now that I see it, I check in the back and see if all the lights are correct. It looks like it's all right.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
At least I remember to turn it on.
Well, so now she's fucking with me already.
What?
This early on the show, at least I remember to turn it on because I forgot that one time.
No. I said I remember to turn it on because I forget. I'm in the fucking office all day.
But I gotta fucking sit here and fucking remember all this shit. Fucking, but it's all on. We got a bunch of lights in here.
I had to have it off earlier because I was recording one of my witching hour shows, and like I said, that it makes like a really loud fan.
It's all
noise.
RGBs and shit. Little small RGBs.
It's beautiful. It makes me feel so
little
festive.
LED ones.
Look, I like that it has
bunch of soft bounce and shit.
I like that it has snowflakes. It makes me feel like it's Christmas time all year round.
That's actually running a little too fast. I'm gonna slow that down.
I did. It's 2 times. I usually slow it down 2 times. Oh, now it's like.
Yeah, make that shit pretty.
Zach is asking what kind of tablet you got. It's T-Mobile
LG,
with the LG.
LG 5 something or other. What's it called?
Oh, okay.
I don't know, dude. Why are you asking me this shit? I'm too old to give a fuck about that. Just give me that big one.
He's like, just give me the big one that's really fast. One I had.
Yeah. What kind of phone is that? Man, it's a fucking phone.
My phone is so fucking old, you guys.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have this. I don't know if this. I don't think I'm the only person that has this problem. But apparently, so I have headphones so I can listen to music on my phone, like when I'm out hiking or whatever. And for some reason, my phone thinks that when you plug in headphones, sometimes, not always, when you plug in the headphones, it thinks that it's a microphone maybe, and so that Google Listen thing will come on, you know?
Yeah.
So sometimes I'll just be like out on my hike or whatever, and I'll be listening to music, and all of a sudden the music will stop and it'll go boop boop, and then it'll be like, it's listening, and I'm just like, fuck off! Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Turn the fucking music back on. I don't need this shit.
Zach said he's asking because he's a tech nerd. Dude,
well, that's what I was going to say. Yeah. Because I'm a tech nerd, duh.
once you get to our age, you're just so indifferent. You know, we had technology our whole lives. Now I'm 51. I give a fuck about what the news...
Honestly, I'm just like... I have preferences. Like I said, I'm a Mac person. I do have like some... Microsoft shit, like, PCs, but I really don't like them. I like Mac better. But I'm not one of those people that's all, like, fucking culty or anything about it. Because they're all fucking expensive,
And all that shit's going to go obsolete within a year anyway. A year later, your shit won't be the best one, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, basically, I'm just kind of like, whatever one is, like, affordable, and it's like, is this, like, really fast, and will this do what I need to do? Which, frankly, as far as the phone is concerned, is not much.
That last one I kept for, like, 3 or 4 years. It could barely... It was barely reliable because all the software and the shit in the SIM card was out of date. So I just went and fucking traded it in. It didn't cost much.
Yeah, because you have that trade-in thing.
It's like a trade-in.
I have the trade-in thing, too, with my phone, but it's been, like, years because I'm just so... I hate anything that... And I'm not lazy. I'm not. But I hate anything that, like, inconveniences me for, like, 5 minutes. So if I have to be without a phone and I have to wait for the new phone to come and I gotta transfer all the shit over my new phone, I'm just kind of like, oh, God. It's like pulling teeth. I hate it. So... Sometimes I will have a phone for like years and years and it's like really, really old and like really fucking... Yeah. And it's like... So the phone that I have now, I don't even remember what it is. It's LG, but I think it might be an LG 3. I don't know. It's like super, super old. And it's just like I keep telling myself, it's like, God, because they give you a deal, I have Cricket. And it's like they give you a deal, you get like, a new phone for $50 and blah, blah, blah. So it's like, man, I should really do that, but I just haven't got around to it because it seems like too much of a pain.
Yeah, on today's show, got a whole list of our favorite horror movies. Jenny's got the list, and she goes, what about your list? That's what she asked me about the list, and I said, my list is the same as your list. And she goes, you're fucking lazy.
But, I didn't say you're fucking lazy. I just said, okay, lazy. That's what I
said. It really doesn't matter. I've probably seen pretty much most of the movies that she's seen, and we have kind of like similar tastes, I guess you could say. I'm not a huge horror fan. I kind of like horror comedy more than anything else. So a lot of mine are going to be on there, and the ones that aren't on there, a lot of people would...
He'll bitch at me.
Yeah.
And he'll probably bitch about what order I put them in.
It won't matter.
But okay, so here's what I ended up doing, because you guys, this was like really hard. Somebody suggested it, And I've been wanting to do a show like that for a really long time. And like I started making a list like a long time ago, and then I'm like, man, this is fucking impossible. I was trying to make a top 100, and it's like even then I was just kind of like, fuck this. I just couldn't winnow it down any further. So what I ended up doing, I said, okay, I'm gonna do like, I think Cinemassacre did a show like a while back, and they were just kind of like, look, we're just gonna pick our favorite horror movie or movies from every decade. And I was like, well, that seems like more doable. So I did that, but then I still ended up, like, for example, the 70s, I went through, like, all the movies that came out, all the horror movies that came out in the 70s, and I went in there and I was just, like, carefully, so I was making a list, and then I ended up with, like, 60 fucking movies. So I was like, and then I have to winnow it down to top 20, because I was like, this is ridiculous. I'm just, And then it was, like, really, really hard. And then I'm just sitting there going, oh, man, I don't want to take that. Oh, I don't want to take that one off either. And then, then I had to put them in order, and it was a nightmare. But, so hopefully, I mean, you guys appreciate it. And I think the 80s was even worse, because I think I had 72 movies that I picked out of the 80s, and then I had to winnow it down to fucking 20. And I was just like, what? I have to take 62 movies off of this list? Shit. What am I going to do?
I'm more into science fiction. I like more science fiction.
Yeah, he's more a sci-fi guy.
And some of the action type stuff, I'm more into that. I also like stuff that's kind of historical, like some of the historical movies. We did a thing on my peeps fucking the other day, which is fucking the Free State of Jones. And when I'm talking about Mississippi, I'm talking about Jones County. And I grew up, and we grew up calling it the Free State of Jones. And it's the history of the Free State of Jones. If you guys didn't see the review, go back and you can watch that.
Yeah, we did it yesterday.
It's a good movie. It's about Newton Knight.
It's on Netflix, at least in the U.S.
And my family on my dad's side was in all that shit. Knew Knight. They knew Newton Knight. And my dad knows all the Knight descendants and stuff.
Because a lot of them are still there.
They're all still there. A lot of them are still there. They were there when I was a little kid. And they were, a lot of them were there until I was about 16. A lot of people left, of course, because cable TV came out, and really a lot of people moved on to greener pastures. And I guess you could say most of the white kids that I grew up with from that area all went to university, and they ended up moving away afterwards. Or not all of them, but a lot of them went to universities and moved away. Most of them went to like places like Ole Miss. But then they left and ended up in places like Tennessee, up in Nashville and everything in that area.
Well, yeah, because you need to work, so you
there's
don't starve to death.
Yeah, Jones County was kind of like Mayberry. The population density was very low. Good-looking people. It was a mixture of whites and blacks. Mississippi is the blackest state in the United States. It's 30% black. Very low income, but you got a lot for your money.
Low cost of living.
Low cost of living, high satisfaction.
It would have to be.
High quality of life. People are happy there. It's got a shit ton of guns per capita, the most guns out of any state, and it has one of the lowest crime rates out of the state. And don't believe what you hear on TV. People fucking like that.
Well, it's probably like it's lower population density.
Low population density. You see another person like, hey, what's up?
Well, I kind of feel like
everybody knows everybody. They all grew up together.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I think that, and I'm not shitting on cities because I like big cities, but sometimes if you have to deal with randos every single day and it's crowded, that stresses you out more than just like living out in the middle of nowhere and you don't see that many people from day to day, and the people you see you do know, so it's not you're not going to get that upset about it. You know what I'm saying?
And contrary to what they'll tell you in Hollywood. Whites and blacks got along well as soon as like the late 80s started to roll around. The 90s, after that they got along very well there. Of course, you had some old people on both sides. That didn't like people of the other race, but that was the older generations, and it was like oil and water. They self-segregated. The blacks didn't like the whites, and the whites didn't like the blacks because it was 100 years, basically, of low-intensity race war. Kind of like something out of South Africa. But that movie explains it, The Free State of Jones. So you'll see what the deal was.
Well, and as I said, I think it's interesting because the writer-director was like, there really haven't been all that many movies about the Reconstruction era.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, it's like, I can't really I mean, other than like Gone with the Wind, but that wasn't even really about that.
Yeah.
I mean, that was kind of about something else, but it's like, they don't really make a lot of movies about that era, I guess.
Half of the Newt Knight saga was the Civil War, the other half was Reconstruction. And it was the Civil War just continuing in a low-intensity conflict. And they were the legends that me and all my other peers from the Mississippi area that we all grew up with. Because our dads knew each other and our grandfathers all knew each other. It was that kind of place. And turns out one of my best friends, who is we consider ourselves to be kin because for generations our families grew up side by side. His name is David Key, and he was a history professor. He used to be a history professor back in the day at Ole Miss University, and he wrote a book researching what happened in the Free State of Jones and Newt Knight, and that book inspired the creation of this movie. Because we'd heard about it, but it wasn't in the history books. He had to research it himself and find surviving witnesses and records, court records, to find out exactly what happened. Because during Reconstruction, the Unionists, both the Unionists and the Dixiecrats, wanted to erase that from history. They did not want any more rebellions against the Confederacy or the Union, because the Free State of Jones fought against both. Fought against the Union and the Confederacy.
They hated everybody.
It was its own country. And Jones was its own country 100 years before the fucking Civil War. It was a fucking bizarre place. It was like a tribal region.
Yeah.
Exactly what it was like. Kind of like a tribal region of fucking Afghanistan. But it was whites and blacks. Sharecroppers, mostly. But it's all there. If you see that movie, you guys might enjoy it. It's historically accurate. Except for there was one little aspect that they didn't really expound on too much. Later on, it showed, during the Reconstruction phase, it showed Newt Knight and his rebels, most of them black, going down to vote. And they were going to vote Republican against the Dixiecrats. The Dixiecrats wanted to fucking stop that. And as they marched down there, they were singing songs to John Brown. All right. A lot of people don't know who John Brown was, but he was a...
I learned about him in school.
Yeah, but they didn't really spell it out.
Yeah.
In the movie, who John Brown was. And anyway, John Brown was a white guy who was leading a slave revolt, really, which they were trying to say that Newt Knight was a guy like John Brown, but he was a lot better man, I think, than John. But John Brown murdered a lot of innocent people, really. Newt Knight did. But what ended up happening is that the Klan started to attack Southern Republicans, including black people, that were voting. And the Klan worked for the Dixiecrats. They were Dixiecrats. Dixiecrats were Klan. It was the same shit. It was interchangeable. In the movie, it just shows the Klan attacking blacks and Republicans. But they don't show that. They make it look very one-sided for, I guess, probably political reasons. You couldn't go out and just kill some black people and get away with it. The white man's magical government was not going to fucking protect you from that. If you went out as a Klan member and killed some black people, the black people retaliated. They retaliated.
Well,
who wouldn't?
Yeah.
They
That's what I was going to say, like, understandably so?
Yeah, they try to make them look like they're effeminate or something. Like, okay, you got us. No. It was more like something out of the Irish Troubles, where it was tit for tat and tit for tat for 100 years. Yeah, they may not attack you face to face, but you come home and your house is on fire. And you're like, damn, how did my house burn down? Your house burned down because you killed that black dude.
Yeah, wonder why.
They all knew each other. So it was all tit for tat and tit for... Just because you put a damn white mask on didn't mean those black people didn't know who you were. They knew who you were. They could find out.
Yeah, the hood don't mean nothing.
So it was a fucking civil...
We know who your ass
It was
is.
basically a damn race war that went on for about 100 years, all the way up into the 60s. And it kind of covers it up until the 40s.
Yeah, although that's kind of like it's just.
Kind of like
I mean,
a side thing.
We talked about it yesterday.
Right.
Yesterday.
But it's a very interesting part of history, and I'm glad that my family was in the middle of that. And my family actually fought with Newt Knight. That they were that, and that was how I became. I inherited Southern Republicanism, and that fucking kind of explains why that happened. That movie does. And it started in Jones County. And it was anti-racist. If you were a racist, you were a Dixiecrat and Klan.
Back then, yeah.
Back then. Well, that went on for a long time, up into the 60s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Zach is saying he prefers cities because they feel less lonely. I prefer cities because... It's weird because I prefer cities because it's just a bunch of random people, because then there's just a bunch of people and no one cares what you're doing and no one is like all up in your business. That's one thing that I never liked about all this small town kind of like, oh, everybody knows each other. I'm like, that sounds horrifying. I don't want people fucking in the town. It's like, oh, it's my neighbor is like dropping by with cookies and stuff. It's like, fuck off, bitch. I don't want, you know what I mean? I just like, leave me alone. I don't like it. So it's like, in a lot of ways, I like big cities better because you can be like anonymous and everyone's like not up in your grill all the time, you know? So that's, because I don't like that. I don't like people like all up in my fucking shit all the time. I don't like it.
I was waiting for Mango to show up, Mango Badger, because he was wanting to see this, but he's not here yet.
I have not seen Mango Badger.
I haven't seen Natila either. Haven't seen Bee's Nest. I talked to Bee's Nest, and he was having some problems in Mexico.
Uh-oh. What happened?
Well, he lost, he was going across the border, and he lost his internet. Something like that.
Oh, shit. Well.
Yeah. So he probably would be.
It happens sometimes.
So, all right.
Paul Moore says, I don't even know my neighbors' names. We don't either. Actually, the house on one side of us, we used to know them because they were cool. It was like an extended family. They moved out. They moved to like a bigger house somewhere else. I think the house on one side of us is empty, right?
Yeah, there's nobody in that one.
Yeah, I don't think anybody was... Like, somebody came in. We thought somebody was moving in, but I guess it all fell through because they didn't.
Yeah.
But on the other side, yeah, I don't know. So, like, I know them to be like, hey, bro, what's up? But I don't know their names or nothing. And that's kind of the way I like it, to be honest with you. I'll like, you know what I mean? It's like, I do my hikes in the morning and I see the same people like every day because everybody walks along that trail. Like, you know, they're walking their dogs, they're riding bikes or whatever. And it's like, I know them by sight and I'm just like, hey, you, but that's it. Like, I don't want to like stop and fucking talk to people because, man, like I said, leave me the fucking alone.
It's hat time.
Do you guys drink with any of your neighbors?
No.
No. Well, like I said, the neighbors we used to have, it was an extended family, right? It was husband and wife. It was a bunch of kids.
A bunch of their cousins.
And a bunch of their cousins. It was like an extended family. It's a big house.
Big house, yeah.
It's bigger than ours, and it was like two stories.
They had a shit ton of motorcycles. They were getting new motorcycles every 6 months.
Yeah, they were really into like motorcycles and all that kind of stuff.
So I'd go and test all their bikes.
So he would go over there and like talk to them and shit. They were cool, and like sometimes like on 4th of July they'd buy they bought like $3,000 worth of fireworks or something one year.
Yeah. That whole
so we saw the fireworks like because they were out in the backyard.
They're like professional fireworks.
Yeah.
We were blowing the fucking place up, man.
That was like 2 or 3 years ago.
Some of our neighbors they're not from this country. They're foreigners, and I think they were fucking scared as loud as that shit was. So they were just like their lights turned off. They didn't even come out and look. I didn't know. They bought like the good shit. Bought the good shit.
And they're like, we're just gonna go out in our back patio.
Yeah.
And do all these.
After we did that fucking fireworks shoot, we had to get out the big old push brooms and fucking sweep the whole fucking place because there's all these little damn
shit everywhere.
Cardboard cartridges and rockets that fly out of those big old fucking.
I was still finding like little cardboard shit like a few days after.
Throwing little bomblets everywhere.
Yeah.
It was. It had
the
been
cats
about,
were scared to death.
Yeah,
they hid under the bed like all night.
It was probably like 200 pounds of fireworks.
Yeah, they had a lot.
Fucking
They were into.
Well, they had a connection.
Yeah.
And so a lot of that stuff they didn't pay for. They had a connection. Yeah.
Zach says, I'm gearing up to move out of my parents' place, and I have no idea where or how to start. You guys got any good advice? Oh my God. Damn. It's always like, it's always kind of like a hard transition.
I moved out at 18.
I moved out
so long ago.
Well, it's weird because I kind of moved when I was, I was 18, 19, and then I went to college. And then I got married when I was 22. And then we moved to the UK. But we went kind of back and forth to the UK. And like when we were in the US, we lived at my grandmother's house because my granddad was dead by that time. So we lived at my grandmother's house for a little while. But then like we went, we got an apartment. Then we moved to Tampa and got an apartment. Went to Clearwater and got an apartment. Then we came back to Daytona, bought a house, which man, I don't know if I'd ever do that again. Like, I had that house for a long time, and I liked that house, but...
It's a lot harder to move out on your own.
It
nowadays.
is. Well, it is.
When I was a kid...
It's expensive.
When I was a kid, at 18, I was working as a waiter at a fucking Bob's Big Boys. I think they call it... Yeah, it's a Bob's Big Boys. I think they called it Elias Brothers. It was up in Michigan at that time. And just as a waiter... I could afford a one-bedroom apartment that was nice, and a car, and I could go out once a weekend.
Not nowadays, bud.
Because in those days, I was pulling down, in that old economy back in the late 80s, I was pulling down about $150 a night.
Oh my God, I
pretty
would
good,
love to make that much money.
Yeah.
Even nowadays, that's a lot of money.
Yeah. I was so scared about paying my rent, one time I lost track of paying rent. And didn't realize that I had already paid it, and real quick paid it again. So I was ahead in my and I was fucking running kind of hungry at that time. I was like, God damn, man. I thought I'd forgotten to pay it.
Yeah.
Because I was a kid. I didn't write it down. You know? Living on my own and shit.
I mean, the thing about it, like I said, for a long time, you know, I owned a house in Daytona with my ex-husband, you know. And, it wasn't an expensive house. It was, I think it, how much did we pay for that? $85,000? Maybe, which is like not much. And then, but by the time that we got divorced, the real estate market had shit the bed so much that it was worth less than half of that. So I was just kind of like, we were getting divorced anyway. And I said, you know what? Fuck this. I'm just like I'm not going to try to sell it. I'm just going to fucking leave it. Yeah. You know, my ex-husband lived there for a little while, like on his own. I moved over to Orlando. I got my own apartment. Now, the apartment I lived in, this was back in 2010, I think. Back in 2010, I got an apartment in Winter Park, I think. It was off of Loma. And it was $650 a month. That was just the rent. It didn't include anything. And it was a one-bedroom apartment, and it was roach infested. Yeah. You went there, you know.
I got her out of there, though. It was a nice place. It's just that...
It wasn't terrible. It wasn't the best neighborhood, but it wasn't like a terrible neighborhood.
It wasn't her apartment that was infested with roaches. It was
the upstairs one.
And they were getting into her apartment through the holes in the walls where the water heater was.
I had to bug bomb that place so many times.
And they were coming in through the damn electrical sockets, coming out through the electrical sockets. They were in the walls. There was no way
I had to put everything
in the refrigerator.
When I left it, because at that time I was working in Daytona still, and I worked the night shift. Yeah. So what I would do is that I would drive over to Daytona, I would do my night shift, and then I had a friend whose parents let me stay at their house, so I didn't have to drive all the way back to Orlando. So I would stay there like some nights, and then because I only worked like 3 or 4 days a week. And so then I would come back to Orlando. So while I wasn't in the apartment, because I wasn't in the apartment for like 2 or 3 days at a time, and sometimes I'd stay at his place too, which was in Altamont Springs. So if I was going to be away, I would take everything, like seriously, I would take everything, the coffee pot, everything, I would wrap everything in plastic bags and put everything in the refrigerator so the roaches wouldn't climb on it. Yeah. Because the roaches were getting in the coffee pot, they were getting in the toaster, they were just everything had to go.
There were those little
German cockroaches.
Little bitty German cockroaches once they're in. I mean, shit. Especially once they're in a apartment complex, that's it. That apartment complex.
Yeah, they just run rampant.
You can't get rid of them.
They just run rampant. And we had it happen in this house too. I don't know where it came from, but it's like
them though.
Yeah, it's like we for a little while.
They got in and made a damn hive underneath the sink. No, it was on top of the
I thought it was under the fridge.
No.
Or in the fridge.
No.
Like behind the fridge.
No. It was behind the it was up above the dishwasher. Remember?
Oh, that's right.
I had to pull the dishwasher out, and they were living up in the counter on the top. And it's because they were going down inside the dishwasher to eat food off the dirty dishes before you turned it on.
See, they're not so dumb.
Yeah. So, but the thing is that there's a separation between this house and the others. So if you bug bomb the house, you kill them. But
this isn't attached to anything.
It's not attached to anything.
It's a regular house.
But if you're in an apartment complex and the infestation is in another apartment, there's no way
we'll
fighting.
Just go down to this other one.
Yeah, they'll go down to another one and they'll come in through the walls and go into another one. You'll never get rid of them.
My apartment was clean. I wasn't there most of the time. Like half the time I was not even at the apartment.
You were at my house.
Yeah, I was at your house, or I was staying with my friend's parents in Daytona, or I was working. So or I was at the gym or whatever. So I was barely at this apartment.
Went into our bathroom one time and looked down the soap dish and had a damn little German cockroach on top of the piece of soap.
Looking at
just
you.
Eating. No, he was eating that soap.
Yeah, they'll eat soap. They'll eat. They eat like the glue off of books. Yep. They'll eat.
Because she had all the food wrapped up inside the refrigerator. There was nothing for them to eat outside. There was nothing,
so
nothing to eat. They were eating the soap. Fuckers. It was ridiculous.
I mean, you have to give them props for being really, really adaptable. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So
they'll eat soap.
I said I got to get you out of here. So then we moved in together.
Yeah, that's how that happened. But yeah, so this house here, it is kind of expensive. Florida is not too bad, but it still is pretty expensive. To get a nice apartment that's not in the middle of fucking the ghetto.
Yep, Graham's right. He says the only way to get rid of them in that situation is to put a tent over the whole building and
you got to bug bomb it, yeah.
And these apartments here won't do that. They won't do it. Too much money. Yeah. You have to kick everybody out for fucking several days and shit, and they just want to do it.
But I will say that
suck it up, it's Florida. Now, if it was, because all the high end shit that's being built now, it's separated. There's no one big apartment complex unless it's something downtown, and that's still old. They don't make those anymore.
Well, no, because some of the stuff they built around here, like Grand Oaks, that's townhouses. So there's rows of them. There's a row, and it's 4 or 5 of them in a row. Yeah. You know what I mean? They do that.
Well, they can fumigate that, though.
Yeah. But, I mean, I will say, though, that I bug bombed my apartment 3 times.
Yeah.
I think. And that did the trick, actually.
Do you realize they got 47 people on here and we're talking about roaches?
It's a Sidetracks show. You can talk about, we can talk about whatever we want to.
Right.
But I'm just saying that, so that apartment was $650. Like I said, it wasn't the best neighborhood. But I walked around the neighborhood. I went because there was a convenience store. I went up to buy cigarettes because I smoked at the time, and I went up to buy stuff. And I've never felt like I was going to get murdered. Although I will note that a girl did get kidnapped from that very same convenience store that I lived right by. Because the convenience store was right here, and the apartment complex was right next to it, and I just lived right there. But it was before I lived there, and so I didn't think I was going to get shot or anything, but I didn't like it that I was on the ground floor. So I did kind of feel maybe
come through the window.
Could come through the window or come through the, cause I had a screened in back porch and I kind of felt somebody will come in there and break open my fucking sliding glass doors or whatever. But it wasn't a terrible neighborhood, but it wasn't a great neighborhood. Let's put it like that. This house, the rent is $1,800. But this is a 4-bedroom, 3-bath house. I don't know what the square footage is. I don't remember. And the 1,800 covers.
With 2 garages.
And it has 2 garages. A big 2-car garage and a 1-car garage.
One of them I converted it into a damn gym. It's air conditioned and everything. Painted that shit. Got lasers and fucking lights and fucking stereo.
There's another fridge in there.
Yeah, but I was having another fridge back there.
It looks nice. The big garage looks nice because we don't need we have a big driveway.
I got a good landlord,
I don't need to park. Well, yeah,
because the landlord owns the place, so he didn't fuck with me.
Well, the thing about the landlords that we have are they own 12 houses or more than that?
More. I think they own
they own a bunch of houses.
30 of them or something.
They own a bunch of houses and they rent them out.
Yeah.
And so if they can find a tenant that will live there and will actually take care of the place, because we painted the whole shit, we do things too, even though it's a rental, it's not our house really, but so they're very willing to give us a break.
Yeah.
So and the 1,800 I was gonna say that actually covers lawn service. Mm-hmm. So the lawn guys come once a week and trim the trees and cut the grass and shit like that, so we don't have to do any of that.
Yeah.
Which is nice. Now nothing else is included. We still have to pay electric and all that shit, which is kind of expensive.
That's all standard shit for Florida though in this area. That's all the standard shit.
Yeah. Zach says need a roommate.
You're the wrong sex, Zach.
What, you have to have a girl roommate?
Gotta be a girl.
Why does it gotta be a girl?
I don't know.
You don't want another dude living in here?
Come on. Let's,
We may need a roommate one of these days.
Maybe.
Oh, okay. Oh, he wants to talk about... He's very excited about this because yesterday... Did we say this on the movie show? Probably. But yesterday, on the way to the post office, he went to...
Went to the fucking clinic.
The man clinic, as I call it.
Fucking right.
What is it called, even?
It's called I don't fucking know.
No, it started with an N.
No, it's called... There's two different ones in there. This is called something like Rebuild.
Sandra said, Jenny, did they find the kidnapped girl? I don't think they ever found her, actually. She's missing still.
Check that shit out.
I'm sure she got murdered. There you go. I have to give him the injections, you guys.
Yeah.
He got the first injection at the office.
Yeah.
But then they were like, well, no, you have to do it once a week. So...
Well, no, they said...
She's like... The girl at the clinic was like, okay, well, she's like, you don't have to be like super specific. She's like, just do it on the arm, or like she said right above the butt, like in the muscle right above your glutes. So I'm gonna have to do that.
Well, I could have done it there, but I have to go there every week. They said if we can ship it to you for $10 a month, and you don't have to be here at all, or you can come here and pick it up. It's only 2 miles away. I'll pick it up.
I mean, it's like right there.
It's like right here, so I'll just go pick it up once a month, and then
if
I'll
it was downtown, that'd be different.
I'll shoot it myself. Yeah, you know.
Have
you shoot it. Well, it's so easy. You just go straight in.
Well, like I said, as long as I don't have to like find a vein and all that bullshit.
No,
as long as I can just stick it in there.
Right into a muscle.
Yeah, I can
just goes right into a muscle. And when you press the plunger, you kind of go slow because it's a little thin needle and it's real thick, like honey.
Yeah.
So it takes a while to press the down plunger all the way down. There's only 1 milliliter, so there's not a whole lot that goes in. 200 milligrams per week. That's a pretty decent dose. If you were to give that to a dude with fucking... If you were to give that to a 20-year-old guy...
They would explode.
It'd be like doing roids. Yeah, it'd be like doing roids.
I know they won't really explode,
my blood work came back, man. My total testosterone was only fucking like 145. It was like the testosterone of a dead man. Testosterone.
You might as well be a gross ass girl.
It's like a 70 man. No,
I'm just teasing.
I don't really. I don't really know what you're talking about. It was like the testosterone of a fucking 70-year-old, of a sick 70-year-old. Fuck, I can't believe that I built any muscle at all working out for 2 years.
But it explains a lot, like why you're so like bummed out and tired,
all negative and shit, and fucking sleepy and tired, no drive, and that's why right there. My test was I think it was 145. I think is what it was. Or was it 165? I can look at it, but I think it was 145.
I thought it was 160 or 165.
Okay, it might have been 165.
Because I heard her talking to you like in the
165.
office.
If you have 240 and under, you're clinically fucking low. It's supposed to be, for say a guy in his 20s or 30s who's real good health, somewhere between 700 and 1100. So that there is going to bump me up to like 1,000 probably.
We'll see how it goes.
Based on what my fucking... And then they gave me some pituitary gland stuff so I to encourage you to produce your own testosterone.
Yeah, even like a whole box.
And then I got a fucking bunch of estrogen blockers they gave me.
It's a fun drug box.
That's to keep getting you from that gyno like The Rock got.
He doesn't want moves.
Yeah.
You can't.
So I'm on a good fucking program. And then fucking you saw a little, what's her name? Oh shit, what's that girl's name? Jessie.
Oh, is that her name? Okay.
Yeah,
the little one?
Yeah, the one that was helping me out. Yeah, little Jessie.
She's super cute.
When you go to these clinics, all right, it's not a fucking like, okay, this shit's so fucking funny. You're not going to a doctor's office, especially not in Florida. When you go to these fucking clinics, these dudes, for getting upgrades. Okay, you're getting upgraded.
Well, yeah, this is like,
this is not sick people.
Yeah, okay? so like I said, if you're going to work in the medical field, it's probably a lot less depressing.
You go there, it's like a cross between a doctor's office and a strip club. It's all the fucking girls that work there are fucking cute. And they're all wearing these little fucking tight, shiny black workout pants. Just tight, with a little fucking. It's like a fake. It's like a medical smock over that, but just the way it is. It looks like a stripper interpretation or a porn interpretation of a nurse. And anyway,
a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, you didn't notice them pants, I guess.
Yeah, I did.
You notice them pants? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, just in a random
come in
kind
and
of way.
fucking
like,
get you some shit. Pants. Once they start hooking you up, they work for the doctor. But it's obviously, this is like a Florida thing. This is legal drug dealing. All right?
Sure.
These are all performance-enhancing drugs. Women were in there, too, though, when they're getting these fucking hormone fucking
Yeah, because they do like a weight loss kind of thing as well.
Yeah, they're giving them shit like Trenbolone. Fucking burn every bit of fat off of them. Trenbolone and fucking mood stabilizers and stuff, so you don't go fucking crazy. Because Tren will fucking make you a maniac without mood stabilization.
Although, as I mentioned yesterday, you'd at least be a skinny maniac.
Yeah, be a skinny ass maniac. Well, the mood stabilizers would keep all that shit back.
Almost worth it.
But it's kind of like going to a fucking cosmetic surgery fucking place or something. Nobody's sick. So the whole fucking environment's very fucking different.
Well, everybody comes there because, you know, they want enhancement, essentially.
Yeah.
You know, it's all like...
Kind of reminded me of that.
It's all voluntary. It's not like, oh, I feel like shit, I have to come here.
Yeah, no, it's none of that. And then it's kind of reminded me of the movie. I realized I was like, man, this shit's fucking Florida as fuck. The first time I went there, it kind of felt like that movie Pain and Gain.
Yeah.
You know, like the gym at Pain and Gain.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like that kind of environment. You know, like they know what they're doing, but they're not taking it real seriously because nobody's dying. Nobody's
it's
sick.
not like you're working in hospice or anything with like...
They sold me that TRT compound and they go, now, is there anything else you might want? And I was like, we do have an anti-aging protocol, and this and that, anti-aging protocol, and this and that, and hair regrowth, and this and that. I said, let me see. And they had a menu. It was like another $200, and I'm seeing what's.
They're like, oh,
yeah, and I was like, that's fucking HGH. Yep. They're fucking human growth hormone. HGH and topical fucking steroid treatment for fucking hair follicles.
I'll take one of each.
Yeah,
please.
yeah. Give me some of that shit. I felt fucking important, you know. I was fucking trying to sell. So I said, well, let me go ahead and I'll do this TRT regimen. We'll see how I feel. And they go, yeah. You do that, yeah. So they're
well, their whole thing is they're trying to upsell.
They're trying to upsell. Sure. They're also trying to, you know, and the best way to upsell you is to fucking kind of appeal to your fucking vanity and shit too.
Well, yeah,
you
should know that you were a salesman.
I was a salesman. I know exactly what they're doing.
You know what they're doing,
but it's still effective. It's the easiest people to sell to is other salesmen. Because you understand what the technique is.
You're like, I see your game. I appreciate that.
You're good. Right. Yeah, it's fucking funny.
It is very funny.
It's funny, yeah.
Well, my favorite thing about this
legal
place,
drug dealers.
because he went there by himself like the first time, but like I ended up, you know, going there because he was just going to get the injection, and
we had to go get mail,
and we were going to like the post office, and the post office is like right, you know, like less than a mile away from there. So I was like, oh, we have to go to the post office anyway, so whatever, you got to go get your injection. So I was sitting in there, and I was like, my favorite thing is that they have. We used to have one of these in my health class in high school where they have that thing. It's like, this is what 5 pounds of body fat looks like. And they have that, like, it's like an artistic sculpture of like this kind of honeycomb colored thing that's like kind of all thing. And it's like, this is human fat. Yeah. This is what it looks like in your ass, like right now.
Yeah, Rick. Florida's fucking amazing, man. Florida's amazing. It's fucking cool. I like it. Kind of reminds me of California. Back in the good old days, back in the 70s and the 80s.
Depends on where you go, though.
Where in Florida? Yeah, where in Florida and where in California?
Because a lot of Florida is still pretty rednecky, and it's like, I'm not really into that.
We're in the I-4 corridor, though. It's different.
I mean, we're in Orlando, or like right outside of Orlando. So Orlando is actually pretty cool. Yeah. Yeah, Zach, just looking at you, bro, you got low T. I can tell. Don't hate on Zach like that.
All them effeminate features you got, man. Fucking no brow ridges and the round face. Yeah, you.
What, he needs to have like Neanderthal brows?
Yeah, fucking right. We gotta get you fucking T-boosted, and when they're done T-boosting that fucking ass, we're gonna move you up to like 1100 fucking. Your testosterone will be like 1100, and then your beard growth will be fucking amazing. And then you'll
look like a member of ZZ Top.
You'll end up being a fucking leather daddy when they're done with you. I'll have you hanging out with Toby, my leather daddy friend. There'd be also all kinds of wild shit going on between you two, man. Listening to the Judas Priest wearing leather and shit. You'd be going down to the Manhole or the Ramrod, one of these clubs like that, beating the shit out of each other.
Gay bars have the best fucking names.
Masochistic, sadomasochistic, fucking warrior male homosexuality, dominating each other, power trading.
Zach says I'm already pretty hairy already. So
that's because you're young though. It'll T-boost your ass out to like fucking 1200 on your test. Your fucking free test will be fucking like through the moon. Fuck Cialis and all that fucking hard-on pills. You just fucking hit that shit right there.
Those work really good.
Yeah, they work good. But I fucking found out
Just from personal experience.
Yeah. The thing is, though, is fucking... I listen to a lot of veterans and stuff, shit, we're getting really off the subject, even though there's no fucking subject.
There's no subject. What are you worried about?
All right, there's like a 31... a dude comes out, he's a Marine Raider. He comes out at fucking 31 years old. He had like fucking 12 years of service. And he fucking felt all depressed because when you're in these military units, especially the hard ones, like fucking, airborne infantry, airborne recon type shit, fucking SF, Ranger, Army Rangers, Marine Raiders, you're living way up here, way up here on an emotional level, you know what I mean? You have all this fucking drive and shit because there's an external threat. And when you leave service, all that shit goes away and you just hormones just damn crash. You become real depressive. So after he got out, he fucking just didn't feel good. They did some blood work on him, and his testosterone was lower than mine. I think his was 125. And he was a 31-year-old dude. So they T-boosted the fuck out of him, and he said after a couple weeks, he was fucking back on top. He's fucking doing great. It's just... And, he was talking about his whole journey through it. It's just something like, women go through fucking menstrual cycles and shit like that. It's a lot of guys also don't realize it, but it's happening to men too. Hormones have to be balanced. A guy can get so depressed that his fucking testosterone will shut down, and you can't get him undepressed without fucking getting his hormone levels back up, and then he'll work his way out of that depression. Now the problem is that giving those fucking hormones to him kind of shuts down natural production. There's a bunch of biological stuff happens. He can't come off of that. Usually you go on TRT, it's for life. And it's just because there's only so much gas in your tank. And if you're fucking living real high energy, emotional energy life early, you kind of empty that tank out. Because humans didn't evolve to live for very long. That's really what it is.
Well, especially dudes.
Especially dudes. If you were fucking running fucking at 300% normal up until you were 30... Mammoth. There's not much left of you after 30, so you're going to need what's called exogenous fucking hormones or outside support to fucking bring you back into that state that you were in. And you can live a long time and live fucking strong forever until you die if you have exogenous hormonal support. Just look at Jack LaLanne. He died at like 80-something.
I thought he was 90-something.
90, maybe 90, early 90s. And he looked great right up into his 90s. He was a fucking great athlete. Jack LaLanne. You guys can look him up.
Should I say my maternal grandmother is still alive and she's in her 90s.
Yeah.
Also.
I think fucking Jack fucking swam the English Channel with towing a boat with a rope in his teeth. And he did that at, I think, 45. Now, I don't think he was totally natural. I think he was natural up until he was about 50. And it looked like he was just from there on out. Because this was a long time ago, back in the 60s. I think he was doing a very low dosages of Anavar, which is an anabolic steroid. Didn't look like he was spiking it or cycling it. It looked like he was just using it. And that's about what TRT would do for you. I don't know what his sexual function was like, though, because there's all kinds of estrogen.
Well, I hope you don't know that. That would be weird if you knew that.
He didn't say. I
don't.
Back in those days, they were real shy about giving details about what they were taking and what it was doing to him. He looked great. He looked strong. But we don't know. He didn't leave any records.
One thing that I like about nowadays is everyone's just like...
You don't have to hide it anymore.
Well, and everything's just like... honestly, I would rather people err on the side of too much information than too little information. I mean, sometimes if people tell you some stuff, you're like, bro, come on. It's like, I don't know.
No, you got to share information.
But man, share information because I feel like that makes other people feel better because they feel like they're not alone. Like, I'm not the only person going through this or whatever. Somebody asked earlier, is it true that goths don't wear sneakers? I have sneakers.
If they're cute sneakers and you're a girl.
I have sneakers for walking, like in hiking, but they are completely black.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if that answers your question.
No, goth girls could wear sneakers, but they'd have to be cute. And they'd have to be with the right outfit.
I just have kind of like
if it looks fetishy and looks like it came out of a porn scene, then yeah, they'd wear it. Yeah. Yeah.
And honestly, I've hiked a few times in black motorcycle boots also. Mm-hmm. So, but I do have like a pair of, they're sort of like sneakers, I guess, but I'm not a big fan of those big puffy sneakers, and I will not wear white sneakers, that's for sure. They have to be all over black. I don't like white ones. I don't want like colored ones. I don't want any fucking white stripes on there. I don't want nothing on there like that. They just got to be black, and they have to be small. I don't like puffy ones.
That says what Tom's describing ain't very manly, but we don't know what he's talking about because that was a long time ago.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that.
He must be talking. Oh, the manhole. Seth goes a gay bar called the Manhole. I love it. Yeah, that was fucking Boston back in the day. Had fucking this fucking. Oh man, I want to tell. Okay. I was coming back from Fenway, and I was coming back from Fenway. Went to fucking place called. It was called Venus de Milo. And I was walking from Venus de Milo, and I was trying to get back on the damn T line to get back to, I think, Kenmore Square so I could go to Man Ray. And I had to pass this club, and it was called the Ramrod.
I love that name,
the
just
Ramrod.
for the record. That's a great fucking
And the Ramrod was a fucking gay leather bar.
And that's exactly, as soon as you hear that name, you know exactly what that is.
Yeah.
That is like, that's exquisite branding.
Yeah, and I was about like, 25, I guess, 26. It was maybe about, I don't know, 95, 96, around that time. I just got out of the Army, and fucking, I was gothed out like a motherfucker. I looked like something out of Interview with a Vampire. The fucking 1800s, fucking smock coat, fucking tall boots.
He did back in the day. He had like the fucking ruffles and whatnot.
Yeah, the fucking ruffles and fucking fucking gloves. I fucking had fucking like a fucking light blue foundation with fucking white powder and fucking looked like 17 or 1800s makeup going and shit. Looked like something right out of fucking Interview with a Vampire. And I didn't know about the Ramrod. I walked right in front of it. Now in front of it were a whole bunch of fucking Harley Davidsons and motorcycles, a bunch of gay dudes, all fucking in their fucking biker outfits. And they're going, woo! And they start catcalling the shit out of me. And they go, look at the ass on that boy. Somebody else goes, fucking...
You do have a nice ass.
Yeah, he says, look at the ass on that boy.
It's like small and tight.
And I had to play it off. You know what I mean? I didn't want to encourage it, but I had to play it off because what are you going to do, show fear? So I just started to swagger a little bit more like that.
Well, that was probably exactly the right reaction.
Yeah, and they didn't follow me, though.
Well, yeah, because they're just showing appreciation.
Right. Okay, so that was the Ramrod. A few years later, competition for it opened up a few blocks down, and it was called the Manhole.
See, I love that.
The Manhole and the Ramrod.
So good.
Yeah, that's how they.
I can't remember. Like, there was a gay bar in Daytona, but I can't remember what it was called. It had a sign that was like a rocket, and it was like a neon rocket, but I can't remember what the name of it. The Zodiac? I don't know. It was something that didn't have anything to do with like the fucking rocket.
Yeah.
But I don't. God.
Ken just goes, exactly, Tom. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, Ken. Fuck, bro.
We forgot what we said like 2 seconds ago.
There's no damn context. Okay. So,
Joe Nash says, remember the old 80s movie Vice Squad? The pimp's name was Ramrod.
Yeah.
Was it really?
Yeah.
See, I think that is the best gay bar name. I mean, well, except in Orlando, we had like a couple, like everybody knows about Pulse, unfortunately. We're not going to talk about that. But kind of the one that we used to go to for the fetish thing that they did is just called Southern Nights, which to me sounds like it just sounds very like a generic.
That sounds like some shit fucking you're gonna
It's a generic name.
You're gonna be fucking listening to Jimmy Buffett wasting away again in Margaritaville.
Yeah, it kind of gives me that vibe. Or like it's kind of like a jock bar. Because there's kind of like a lot of those, but it's not. It's like, and I really, really wish they had named it something else. Because it's like every time, like the night that we went to was called Escape, which was a good name. Because it was fetish, but...
The Manhole and Ramrod was not Florida. That was fucking Boston.
Yeah.
Boston. That was outside Fenway Park. It was near where the fucking main clubs were. No, you could do whatever you wanted in Boston. Boston was fucking... And that was back in the 90s. But, you know, there was a lot of cities that were like that, you know. San Francisco fucking... You know, it was fucking filled with fucking places like that. I didn't live there, but, you know, I heard about them. There was stuff in New York that was like that, so... It was just fucking kind of common shit. From what I understand, fucking Austin and Dallas, New York are like that now. A shit ton of gay bars and fucking...
Well, Austin's kind of always been like that. That's kind of like...
And and evidently it has always been like that, like going back to the 70s.
Yeah.
So it's not...
Austin was kind of like, you know, it's kind of like... it long has had a reputation of being like the only city in Texas that was kind of like friendly to weirdos.
Florida never gave a shit. I don't think.
Like I said, it depends where you go. Like I said, I was born here.
Orlando and Miami and Tampa. They never gave a shit.
I mean, like I said, it depends where you go because a lot of Florida, I'm not gonna lie, is still pretty rednecky.
Well, yeah, we're talking about that's the Panhandle.
Yeah.
You go up on the Panhandle is the same as Mississippi and Alabama and Louisiana. It's exactly the same, pretty much. Actually, it might be worse. Panhandle might be worse. Because from what I understand, some of those cities, some of those towns, I'm not going to call them cities, but some of those towns in the Panhandle, from what I understand, are nothing but just huge trailer parks.
Yeah.
Of rednecks. And other ones are just kind of hidden out in the swamps, kind of like over there near when we went to go see your mom. They're just houses out in the middle of the woods.
And that's like Ocala.
Wood floor, yeah.
That's central Florida.
Yeah.
Which we're in Central Florida too, but there's a weird, it's called the I-4 corridor if you're not from here.
Yeah.
And it goes from Daytona to Tampa. It goes all the way across the state, east to west. And along there's like a lot of cool cities. But outside of that, other than Gainesville, which is actually pretty cool because the University of Florida is there, so there's like a lot of college shit there. But outside of that is pretty rural. It's like a lot of farms. It's a lot of rednecky shit. It's a lot. Even Daytona, where I grew up, I was born there. It's better now than it used to be because it's kind of expanding a bit. But when I was growing up, it was like super, super rednecky because we had like fucking all we had there. We had the NASCAR, Daytona International Speedway. That was like the big draw. And then you had pretty much the only club they had there for a long time was called the Rockin' Ranch, which should tell you something.
Yeah, let me go get you another drink right here.
Okay. Later, a couple of us, like when I was in my teens, some people opened like some cool shit. There was a little bitty like coffee house / live venue. At first it was called Up and Atom, and then they called it something else. And then they had a little punk club for a little bit, but it was never a real, and there's like some cool shit there. There was like a really cool like secondhand bookstore. There's a really cool secondhand music store, but it was really, really hard to find anything there for, people like me, I guess. So it was something that I really, really, I don't know. It's better than it used to be, I guess, but man, back in the day, it was like really, really hard growing up there because it felt like everyone was a redneck except me. And even when I was in high school, I hung out with like the only goth and punk people in town. And there was like maybe 10 of us, maybe. And, there wasn't really anywhere to go.
Why don't you hand me that empty glass right there? I gotta go to the restroom.
That was my water glass.
Do you want water?
No.
Okay.
But there wasn't really anywhere to go. You could go to the movies. When I got older, you could go to Up and Atom or whatever they called it later. And that was pretty much it. It's like the movie theater did Rocky Horror Picture Show sometimes, like on Saturdays in the 90s. You could go to that, and that was about it. So where I grew up, it was like really, you had to drive all the way to Orlando to see any like decent shows. And for a long time, I didn't have a car. My brother had a car, so when I got a little bit older, we could drive over and see, if Peter Murphy was playing or something like that in Orlando. But I don't know. It was just like, that's kind of, maybe that's why I kind of like romanticize bigger cities and stuff like that, just because I grew up in a place that was just so, I don't know, like antithetical to like everything that I liked. And it was really hard to like fucking, like sometimes, like even nowadays, like a lot of bands that would tour, like bands that I liked that would tour, a lot of them wouldn't even bother like coming to Florida. They'll just, it was like, oh, we'll play Atlanta and then we're going to fuck off to the other part of the country. Because if you come down to Florida, Florida is very large and it's very long. And if you want to play in Orlando or Miami or whatever, it takes a long time to get way the fuck back up to the rest of the country because Florida is so long. So a lot of bands, particularly if they're, more, alternative or whatever, a lot of them won't bother. It's like, so as far south as they'll come is Atlanta, and then they'll just fuck off somewhere else. So we had a lot of shit that happened where like a lot of tours of bands that I wanted to see would not come here just because it wasn't worth it to them. You know what I mean? Because they found, oh, it's fucking Florida. We don't like, it takes too long to get to Orlando. Then they go to Miami, and then they gotta go. It just takes too long, and like they just didn't bother. And I can't blame them for not bothering, but it's just kind of like, because they were like, oh, we'll go to Atlanta because that's a giant city, but why bother going down there? Orlando, Miami, Tampa, that would be the only cities they would bother with, and sometimes they wouldn't even bother with that, just because it was so much travel time. And I get why they wouldn't do it, like I said, because it's saving money, but it was a bummer for me. I mean, and like I said, this was kind of like, this is why I'm bummed out. I never got to see, Nick Cave, he's my favorite. I never got to see him. The only fucking time that he was ever going to play in Florida, he played on the Lollapalooza tour in 94, 95, whenever the fuck it was. Whenever, like, Let Love In came out. See you,
Melinda.
Huh? Oh.
Melinda said, be back after running out of errands.
Oh, okay. We'll still be here probably when you get back.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. Oh, you misspelled two. It's it's TWO.
Man, I thought that was my lookout, like the grammar Nazi thing. That's what I do. But yeah, so I had never seen him, and I was super excited because he was going to play Lollapalooza in 94 or 95. And they were going to play in fucking DeLand, of all places, which, if you don't know, is the city in between Daytona Beach and Orlando. Daytona Beach is on the coast. Orlando is kind of in the middle.
What's up, Pook?
So it's like this little... So they had a fairground there. They were going to play, and I was like super excited. And I was going to see like L7 and all this other kind of shit too.
She wants to go outside.
Okay. So I had tickets for it, and then the morning of the show, the night before the show, we had... It was summer. So the night before the show, we had these horrible, horrible thunderstorms like we have here in Florida because it's the fucking tropics.
I guess she didn't want to go outside.
Okay, well, that's good.
Sometimes she does that. She's telling me that she wants to go out the front.
Don't leave that door open like that.
Okay.
I don't like the door open. It's like, it weirds me out.
Okay, she's going to go out.
Okay. So I had bought tickets. I was super excited. But then there was like a really bad thunderstorm like the night before. And like the morning I woke up and I was just like all jacked. And I was like, woo, we're going to Lollapalooza. I'm going to see Nick Cave. It's like I'm going to see Ilse. I don't even remember who the fucking headliner was. I didn't care about that. And then they said, oh, well, we had to cancel it because the storms overnight caused the stage to sink into the mud, and so we can't do it now. And I was so fucking bummed. And that was like probably the only chance I ever had. And then this ironic thing was that my sister lives in Atlanta, and still, and so for this year she bought me tickets to see Nick Cave in Atlanta for my birthday because he was playing there like early October of 2020. And obviously, you guys know how that shit went. Everything got canceled in 2020. So obviously, I didn't get to see him there either. Now, so it's kind of like, am I ever going to get to see Nick Cave? My sister's got to see him like 2 times. She saw him in Denver, where she used to live. And I think she saw him somewhere else, too. I don't remember where. But she's got to see him 2 times. And I have not got to see him at all. I'm kind of pissed off about it.
It actually might be time to go ahead and do the list.
You want to do the list?
Let's do the list. Because it looks like we... Looks like we got everybody we're going to get right now. So
Sheila Ann says Redneck Riviera. That's exactly what it is. Yeah. Daytona Beach. I've seen Daytona Beach called that.
Fucking Mango just showed up. Where you been, Badger?
Hey, man, there you were.
Fuck, man, I've been waiting on you.
We were wondering where you were.
Yeah, now we just wait for Tila to show up.
She might be busy. I don't know.
Yeah.
Seth says I was lucky enough to see Nick Cave about 4-ish years ago. He was, of course, incredible. See, I'm so jealous. I've never got to see him. I think he's the only... Okay, I never got to see The Fall, and obviously now I can't because Marquis Smith is dead. But I never got to see Nick Cave, and I'm really, really pissed off about it. He just never played here. He never played in Florida. So that Lollapalooza was the first time he had ever played in Florida, and I was super jacked, and then it got fucking canceled because of the fucking thunderstorms. I was so mad. Fucking Florida and its fucking weather. I swear. All right.
Somebody said something here.
DJ Maniac says, I had the same problem with body count. I actually saw a body count in Jacksonville, I think. Early 90s? Yeah, me and my friend went. They were really good.
Badger said he was late today. He had some things to sort out.
Well,
That's Badger all the way from the UK.
Don't we all?
Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't. We've already been on more than an hour. We haven't got into the list.
We haven't really gotten into the list yet.
We were talking about testosterone.
You're the one that asked for the goddamn list. Yeah, man, I was going to show you my fucking testosterone, Badger.
He got his little box yesterday.
I told the whole story about going to the damn fucking.
Is that a coffee? What is that on the top? It looks like a little. Oh, it's
a mortar and pestle.
For far away, it looks like a coffee cup.
I told the whole fucking story about.
Look at all his drugs.
Going down to the fucking Florida fucking hormone clinic.
The hormone clinic.
With all the fucking
little
hotties working there.
It's only like a mile or two from our house. It's very.
And it was Florida as shit, man. You would have fucking loved it. And I was dealing with all these goddamn legal drug dealers fucking trying to sell me all kinds of fucking hormone therapies and fucking steroid treatments and human growth hormone and all kinds of shit. We can hook you up. We're going to jack you up. You're in great shape and you're old. You got nothing to lose. You're only going to live another 25 years.
They didn't tell you you were old.
No, the doctor kind of did. The doctor kind of did. The doctor kind of did.
They probably said it in a nice way.
They said it in a nice way. They said it's in the shape that you're in, and at your age, you know, fucking, you know, we can fucking help you have the best. We can make you bigger,
stronger.
And fucking, you don't have as much to lose because fucking that kind of shit. You haven't been banging yourself up with all kinds of fucking androgens and fucking steroids.
Well, you're kind of like a prime candidate.
You're like a prime candidate because you didn't come from a long history of abuse of fucking steroidal compounds. So they're just like fucking, you can do whatever you want. Whatever you want.
And you should have said, "You're goddamn right, I can."
Do whatever I want. And they said, you know,
Tom always
does
like, whatever he wants.
Because what's the point? You guys still got a lot of gas in the tank. You know, fucking, you know, you haven't torn your liver up. You know, by taking fucking.
Well, I don't know about that.
No. You have no idea what they're talking about.
I know. What was
Fucking.
My liver is probably.
They got
just
dudes.
Like, no.
They got dudes out there that at 17 years old were taking fucking gigantic cycles of fucking all kinds of dangerous fucking.
Well, you know.
Experimental fucking steroids, and then they were drinking on top of that and doing drugs. And by the time they're 50, they're fucking shot.
Well,
there's no more fucking gas in the tank. Ask Arnold.
There's Tila.
What's up, T? We were talking about you. So where the fuck were you at?
Well, that's the thing. It's
I was showing everybody my hormone therapy. That's right. There's some Florida shit here, fucking T. Went down and got my shit.
Yeah,
my drugs.
He's very excited about it.
I took my first injection yesterday. It's just starting to kick in. It takes about 3 weeks for it to take its full effect.
But, he woke up this morning. He's like, I feel really weird.
I feel really fucking weird. Yeah. It's kind of like, it kind of reminded me of when I used to smoke. You haven't smoked in a long time. You take a little drag and you're like, oh.
Yeah.
All that fucking testosterone's like, oh.
Sometimes I get super drunk if I'm out at the club and like if somebody because we have a couple friends that still smoke, and if somebody has a smoke that they'll give me.
She'll get drunk and take a drag off that cigarette.
Yeah, be like, yeah, give me that shit.
As a motherfucker.
And then he gets mad. Well, they usually wait till he goes to the bathroom and then they're just like, here, girl. Yeah. I was like, you want $1? And they're just like, no, don't worry about it.
Cigarettes had a huge grip on me.
They did, yeah. Well, you smoked a lot longer than I did.
Smoked a lot longer, yeah. I smoked for
20 I had probably smoked one for 8 or 9 years when I had met you. And not like super regular. Yeah. But, you know.
T, I was making comments about fucking the Free State of Jones County, Mississippi. That's a movie you need to see. I don't know if you've seen that yet.
It's on Netflix.
That's my people. Fucking my dad was friends with the surviving Knight family right there. Fucking, you'll see what I'm talking about when you see the movie.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
But that's all kind of
like I said, it's a time commitment because it's like 2 hours and 20 minutes.
That's all kind of like Ken. That was, and yeah, you might like that movie. It's got a lot of African American history in it.
Yeah, it's a good flick.
And it wasn't known until recently.
And like you said, it's something that doesn't really get brought up a lot in historical, because like you said, it's mostly local history. It's kind of like a weird footnote to like Civil War, Reconstruction era kind of history.
Yeah, and it didn't play along with the fucking narrative that mainstream education wanted to fucking spin.
Like with McConaughey, Matthew McConaughey.
Matthew McConaughey, and that dude that was from Green Mile?
Green Book.
Green Book, that's right, Green Mile. If you haven't seen Green Book, you need to see that one too. That was a fucking great movie. Yeah. I like Green Book. And that dude, that was the same dude from Predators. He played.
Yeah, he was in that too.
He was the black dude.
I feel like I said, he's having a moment. He's been.
Yeah, he was that black dude that was in that fucking that the Predator abducted from the what was it? The Death Squad in Sierra Leone and Death Squad. He was one of them motherfuckers. They had him up there fighting the Predator. Evidently, they say, I don't know if it's true, he's going to be the new Blade. And man, I hope that's true.
He would be a good Blade.
He'd make a really good Blade.
Yeah,
he'd have to put on some weight, but he could do it. He could do it.
Well, that's the thing. That's kind of like in your contract. It's like, look, you have to play the superhero character. You have to put on like X amount of muscle, because that's always, they always ask him to do that.
Yeah, T goes, on the testosterone, you feeling different? I'm on 3 different things, actually. There's an estrogen blocker, testosterone, and then I'm going to go on a pituitary gland fucking drug that activates your pituitary gland. It starts up a lot of your fucking all over fucking hormonal fucking production. First day I didn't feel anything. Today I just felt kind of like you need to stretch. If you ever, I feel like healing, like it's a slight tingling feeling and a little bit more of a positive attitude, a little more energy, but it's very kind of superficial right now. It kind of feels like when I was taking SARMs. But they say that it takes about 3 weeks before you really feel it kicking in, because it has to build up in your system. It got me on a fucking pretty big dose. A dose that if you were to give it to a healthy guy in his 20s, he'd fucking roid out at 200 milligrams a week. That's fucking big. That's 250 is about, that's a fucking big dose. Pro bodybuilder would be on about 700. Your average young dude, if he was fucking kind of, he's 30, maybe 25, and his T is low, they usually give him something along the lines of like fucking 50 or 100. So it's a good sized dose. Like the doctor said, he says, man, you only have 20, 25 years left anyway, and you're in good shape. Here, fucking bam. He's ex-military, so he's going to tell me the truth.
Well, yeah.
He was a military doctor. VA. So.
It's weird? I think about that sometimes, because, like, if you don't know, I'm 48. So sometimes I think to myself, man, I could live another 30, 40 years. God, that seems like a long time.
No, it seems like nothing to me.
God, it seems like
time goes by so fast. 10 years seems like nothing. We've known each other for 10 years.
Yeah, that's true.
And it just fucking flew by.
I don't know. I don't know. It just seems like a long time to me. But I don't know. Maybe that's just me. It's all in your like perception of it, I guess. Shit, it's weird because I feel like shit goes by real quick, but then shit goes by real slow, too.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm a weird person, and I kind of feel like it was weird because, okay, so, like, when we went to my mom's house, because remember a couple weeks ago we said we weren't going to do the Sunday show because we went to visit my mom over in Ocala because my sister was here. So we went to my mom's house, and my mom, she's so cute. She's like, every single letter you guys have sent to me, every single thing, I put them in, like, little individual plastic boxes. So she has these plastic boxes for each kid because I have 3 siblings that are younger. And every single letter that we've sent her, every single thing that we've sent her, like every present, everything is in this plastic box. And for some reason, she was like, I want everybody to look at their boxes. So she gave me my box, and it had like all these letters from, that I had sent her like a long time ago, like back in the fucking 90s and early 2000s and stuff. And it was just like really, really, it was really weird to like read these letters and cards and shit that I had sent her, because I feel like I'm not that person anymore, and I don't really have any connection with that person. I know it was me, but it's like, I don't know. This is what I've said this before on the show. I'm not a real like nostalgic person. So sometimes you show me a letter that was written by me like 15, 20 years ago, and I'm just like, who the fuck is this? I don't recognize it. Like, I sort of remember writing it, but not really.
All right, Sess, we'll see you.
Yeah, I saw that. It's like, come back later. We'll probably still be here. I haven't even got into any of the shit that I wanted to talk about.
Yeah, Tila, it's the one, Free State of Jones, and it's you can see it for free on...
It's on Netflix.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Then they're talking about rebooting Blade. Then Tila says she loves the historical features if it's done super well. This is done super well. There's a lot of historical... a lot of historians, like I told you this before, a lot of historians consulted for this movie. And this movie was done because a friend of mine that I grew up with in Jones, Mississippi, did all the research. He was a historian at Ole Miss University. And we grew up hearing legends about Newton Knight. And later on, when my boy grew up to become a professor down there at Ole Miss, he researched this whole case through all the fucking what records survived. And they put all this together based on witness writings that survived about this fucking... It was like a slave uprising mixed with Confederate veterans that had run from the war.
They were over it.
Because they were over that shit. Mm-hmm. Because the Civil War, the secession and the Civil War was kind of a conspiracy made by very rich plantation owners, and they didn't want to give up their plantations. They didn't want to lose their business. It'd have been all right if they wanted to go out and fight for it, but no. They fucking took the poor,
yeah, so like...
The poor fucking...
So like every war ever.
They put poor people who were fucking farming, they took them and made them fight that war. And they were the ones that were already in competition against these plantations. They couldn't survive against these plantations because how are you going to survive against slave wage? How are you going to survive against slave wages? You can't. So
they didn't have wages.
There was no wages. How are you going to compete against that?
When you're a slave, they don't pay you.
So what it did was it just fucking depressed the Southern economy and just made everybody fucking poor. And then they told them to go out and fight the war. And that's what it was all about.
And you can see why a lot of people are like, no.
And then the movie gets into after the war, what happened during Reconstruction. There was like a low-level civil conflict that went on all the way up to the 1960s. And that's what my family came out of. It was a fucking long war, like a civil war. It went all the way on for 100 fucking years. And I came from Southern Republicans, and it'll explain the difference between Dixiecrats and Southern Republicans. Southern Republicans were anti-slavery. Dixiecrats were pro-slavery and pro-segregation. And it explains kind of like why that happened. And they basically just beat the black people over a period of 100 years. They beat them down into voting Democrat to make segregation happen because black people had to be safe from the Klan. So they made them fucking vote for segregation over time. It was, and they don't want to talk about that in the history books. All that shit's been erased, but fucking we brought it back. We're telling everybody about it.
Tila is asking, is the new Candyman going to be a reboot or a sequel? It's actually a sequel because you are following the exploits, at least what I saw from the trailer. You're following the exploits. You know the little kid that was rescued from the fire in the first Candyman? He's grown up now. And they also, as far as I know, got the same actor that played his mom. So this is going to be a sequel. That's what I could determine from the trailer. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But it's not a reboot. It's a sequel to the original. I don't know if Tony Todd is going to be in it. I hope he is because he's rad. Yeah. But you know.
Now, some people are skeptical saying that how could Blade be good in today's Hollywood? I totally fucking feel you. Hollywood.
I don't know. It might be.
Let me finish what I'm saying. Hollywood and Disney, they are fucked.
All right, I'm going to the bathroom.
Go ahead. But they might get the right guy on it. It all depends on who they choose as writers and who they choose as directors. But if they do a retro style Blade movie, that actor that they have fucking slated to cover Blade, evidently, if it's the guy that they say it is, he'd make a good Blade. Like I said, he'd have to bulk up a little bit, hit the gym, do a few cycles, or do what he has to do to get his fucking hormones right. No, that'd be a great fucking Blade. Because you know Batman's gonna suck. They're working on a Batman movie. That shit's gonna fucking suck. And I fucking had it with Disney. I think Disney has fucking shot themselves in the foot. I think that's going to unravel on them pretty quick. Some people are saying, well, what they did here, firing these people and talking all this shit and everything, they're dividing their fucking crowd. But the problem is that the customers that they're getting rid of are the ones that we're paying. The ones that are doing all the crying, they don't fucking pay. They don't see the movies. It's all just Twitter mob shit. So it could very quickly unravel on Disney. We'll go to the restroom.
Ugh. Paul Moore says they might make it closer to the comic book, which, that might be good, actually. So I don't know what he was talking about because I had to go to the bathroom, but you know what I mean. I don't really want to go off too much into that direction, but I guess we can finally start talking about, because I think it was Mango that recommended that we do our favorite horror movies. Now, as I mentioned at the top part of this show, I put a lot of thought into this, you guys, and it was really, really hard. I was initially going to pick, I don't know, I can't do top 20, I just can't. So I was going to do top 100. I started doing that, and then it's it wasn't working out. And then, so I broke it down by decades, and then even that was too many, and it was I was having a hard time winning everything down. So what I did was I did a top 20 from the 50s and before, because I haven't seen, I've seen a lot of movies from that era, but a lot of them are not my favorites. So I kind of went at all that. Even then I had to take shit out. And then from the 1960s onward, I did top 20s for every decade. And even that, I'm saying right now, was very, very difficult. Particularly for the 70s and 80s, where I had to cut out half of my list in both. Even the 90s was kind of hard. And I'm not a big fan of 90s horror. But I had way too many movies on that list too. So I had to take a bunch of them out. So as soon as Tom comes back, hopefully, we'll start talking about the horror movies. Also, I want to talk about, you guys. So what ended up happening? So we've been watching, I don't know if you guys, if you have Netflix, they just put up a new docuseries about Elisa Lam. It's kind of about the Cecil Hotel, in general. It's four episodes, right? And they're about
I think
an
it's
hour
3 or
long.
4.
And it's mostly about the Elisa Lam case, but they kind of thread some other shit about the Cecil Hotel in there. It's it's really
entertaining.
It is. It's really interesting, and they go a lot into kind of the internet web sleuth kind of community, because they have fucking John Lorden on there from Brain Scratch. They have Stephanie Harlow on there, who I watch a lot, and so they have a lot of shit about how everybody got a little too excited about the shit, and some bad shit ended up happening. So I like that they went into that. So I want to talk about that, and I want to talk about this stupid documentary. We watched it random last night. It was on what, Hulu?
What was it? What are you talking about?
That Nostradamus thing.
That was Hulu, I think.
I think it was on Hulu. Okay, so we ended up watching, just completely randomly, this fucking History Channel documentary about Nostradamus, or specifically about Nostradamus's thing about the Antichrist, the 3 Antichrists and all that shit. So we ended up watching that, and it was the most ridiculous thing. Well, I don't want to say it was the most ridiculous thing, but it's up there with the most ridiculous thing. So I don't want to talk about that too. But let's talk about the horror movies first. Or did you have something else you wanted to add about whatever?
Taylor was saying, Taylor, I believe they need to. When you talk about Republicans and Democrats, I think they're both out of date. She says they need a third one. I don't think they need a third one. They do. They need a third one. They're both of those are played out. They both serve fucking the oligarchs and they both serve big corporations. They're not about us anymore. And they're bullshitting. What they're saying, they don't really believe in. It's the shell game stuff. They're politicians. I don't trust any of those goddamn politicians anymore. It's all fake. Fake. They don't work for us. They work for them. Just saying. Okay, go ahead. I don't want to get mad.
Well, yeah.
I don't want to get mad. I'm in the middle of the stream.
This is supposed to be fun.
Yeah, it's supposed to be fun. Yeah.
Zach says, if Hereditary isn't on your list, I'll probably cry. I think you will be very happy.
Yeah, I'm going to get another drink here in a bit.
Okay.
Well, I'll finish this up first.
Okay, so, as I said, what I did with this list was that from 1900 to 1960, I picked my top 20 from that time period. Because there were a lot of movies I liked from then, but it's there weren't quite as many as later. So You want to go down? You want to go down?
Go ahead and go.
The fucking okay.
But here's the deal.
What?
I'm gonna tell the audience I didn't make my own list because I trust Jenny's list. I'm not a big horror fan.
Also, you're lazy.
And I know most of the shit she's gonna. I'm lazy too, but also I know that most of the shit we like most of the same movies. All right, we like most of the same movies, so her list is gonna probably look like my list anyway.
I don't know. Well, yeah, maybe to an extent.
Now, I have know more about Ciarra movies than
well, and a lot of shit on there you might not have seen too.
We'll see. We'll see.
And like I said, please keep in mind if
you forget a movie, I'll throw one of mine in.
If my favorite shit from the 60s or the 70s or the 80s or 90s is not in there, it's not because I don't love that movie. It's just that I was really, really trying to winnow it down to 20. And I felt really, really bad because I had to take out a lot of movies that I really wanted to keep in there, but I just didn't want this to be like fucking 7 hours long. That's all I'm saying. So, as I said, from 1900 to 1960, so like, you know, or actually 1959, I guess. So, these are my top 20. Now, I'm going from 20 down to 1, okay? Now, these, not necessarily, it was hard to put them in order. It's, you know, everybody that's into horror movies, this is, like, very difficult. So, number 20, I'm going to go with The Phantom Carriage from 1921.
Shit, I don't even know that one.
This a silent movie?
See, this is the deal.
I have a series on my blog.
You were going to throw in like Casket of fucking Dr. Caligari.
I'm not, well, I'll get there.
Okay.
I'm at number 20.
Okay.
Chill out.
All right.
Phantom Carriage, it might have been based on a short story.
Casket, not cabinet, but Casket of Dr.
You know what? I didn't even bring that up. You accused me of picking on you. I'm not even bringing it up. I knew what you said.
You picking on me is a good part of the show. That's a good portion of the show.
I like to pick on you.
Yeah.
It's fun.
I noticed that shit. She waits for me to fucking reach a moment of weakness when I'm fucking drunk.
Well, yeah. Well, it's only fun to pick on you when you're vulnerable because
that's like fucking Pookie running across my nuts in the middle of the night while I'm sleeping.
It's the same principle.
Yeah.
Because you're bigger than us and you're like more powerful than us.
No.
So it's
I swear to God that cat knows what nuts are.
She does. She
fucking
totally does.
Stomps on them fucking when she runs across and then laughs.
It's very purposeful.
Jenny's seen it happen.
Yeah.
It's on purpose, isn't it?
She thinks it's very, very funny.
Fucking ridiculous.
Oh my God. Okay, this reminded me. So remember how we said on the show that Pookie talks to herself in the mirror?
Oh, yeah.
She jumps up on the bathroom counter and she looks at herself in the mirror very deliberately and she goes, meow, meow. Like she's talking to herself, right? I saw this video today. It was like recommended on my fucking YouTube shit. Because, you know, I watch a lot of cat videos. Okay. I'm just admitting that right now. So I get all the Jackson, and I subscribe to Jackson Galaxy and all that kind of stuff. So I get this recommendation today. What was the cat's name? Perseus, I think. Perseus the cat talks to himself in the mirror. I was like, oh my God, Pookie does that. So I watched it, and it was interesting because Perseus, he was kind of like this tabby, like this orange kitty. And I don't know if he wasn't really like looking at himself in the mirror. He was sitting on the bathroom counter and he was like in front of the mirror, but he was kind of like looking over there and he was making these really bizarre like, rah, rah, like kind of noises. That's not what Pookie does.
Pookie so other cats talk to themselves?
But Pookie jumps up on the bathroom counter and looks at herself very deliberately. She looks at herself and then she goes, meow. Meow. Like she's talking to
the other
Pookie. We call it Mirror Universe Pookie. Mm-hmm. I don't know if she knows that that's her or if she thinks it's another cat. She's not reacting like it's another cat.
She knows it's her.
I'm pretty sure she knows that's her. But I'm like I'm not sure like what she's saying though. I don't know. But so like I was kind of disappointed in this other video because it's like the cat was not he wasn't looking at himself directly in the mirror. He was kind of looking sideways. Sort of, like part of the time. And then he was making this really bizarre. And I kind of thought to myself, well, that cat, maybe it thinks it's another cat. I don't get the impression that Pookie thinks that's another cat. I think she thinks that that's her. And I'm not sure what she's saying to herself. But she seems like she doesn't react the same way that she reacts to another cat. Because sometimes we have other cats like come up the porch or whatever. And she sees them. And she reacts to them in a particular way, and she makes like a very particular like meow or a particular noise. that's not the noise that she's making when she looks in the mirror. I kind of feel like she knows. And the weird thing, too, is that she looks at herself in the mirror and talks, and then she looks back at us, or looks at us in the mirror, and, like, kind of looks at us like, do you see this shit? She kind of looks like that. So I don't really know if it's the same thing. And like I said, I'm trying to get it on video, but she always does it at night, and, you know. So there's not a lot of, like, night vision shit going on. You all right? You got everything? All right. So what I say, number 20, Phantom Carriage. You didn't even see that? It's good, though.
I didn't see it.
And honestly, 1921, this had some pretty kick-ass, like, special effects. I feel like it might have been Swedish. I could be wrong about that. But it's basically like this carriage that comes. It's like, when you're going to die, here's this Phantom Carriage comes.
The list is what? 10 movies or 20?
It's 20.
Oh, shit.
All right.
Yeah, it's going to be a 6-hour movie.
No, it's not. It's not.
All right.
Number 19. I'm going to go with The Wolfman from 1941. You've seen that, right?
Yeah.
With Lon Chaney.
Yeah. Been a long time, though.
I mean, I love all the Universal movies. The Wolfman is probably my least favorite.
Look at that. Tina comes out with Mirror in the Bathroom. She knows that song.
Oh my god, I love that song.
She must be in that ska music.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay.
I love
Tina,
that song,
why aren't you the fuck hanging out over here in Florida? You and your man need to come out here.
They can come visit.
Mirror in the Bathroom. It was English beat? Oh, no, that was...
I thought that was a jam.
The jam, yeah.
I'm pretty sure
the jam, yeah.
But yeah. Zach says, yeah, it's Swedish. Oh, okay. Well, I'm drunk and I totally called it. Really influenced Bergman. And we'll see some Ingmar Bergman later on the list, you know. Yeah, so number 19, The Wolfman from 1941. Like I said, I like that movie. There was a lot to pick from. Number 18, this one might be a little bit out there. Hands of Orlac, 1924.
I don't remember that one.
This is about a dude, and he's a pianist, and he's in a train accident that somehow severs his hands, and that's it. So he gets hands grafted onto him, but they were a murderer's hands. And it's good. What's the scene? This was a silent film. And I liked the ambiguity because you weren't sure if the murder hands were possessing him or if he just, because he knew that they were murder hands, that was like fucking his mind up. It's good. It's like, seriously, it's a good movie. It really is. It was silent.
I haven't seen it.
I know you haven't. Well, like a lot of these probably haven't.
Yeah.
So yeah, Hands of Orlac. You go watch it. I think I watched it on YouTube. It's free. Because like I said, it came out in 1924. It's probably in the public domain at this point.
Tina says, too hot and humid to move down to Florida. She loves those beaches, though. You just got to get used to it. You get used to it.
It's...
You just got to get used to it.
I mean, honestly, in the summer, you just have to stay inside and not go outside for any reason.
I didn't go out the past couple of years. I stayed away for like 2 years. I can't handle it anymore. I got this fucking I got all this hormonal therapy. That's going to fucking bring me back out of the fucking shell. I'll be out there. I'm going to go down in a fucking pool.
Yeah. We don't have a pool, but the community has a pool. It's nice. I've been there a couple times.
I'm going to go down to the pool.
Have you never been to the pool?
What's that? Never been down there.
The
fucking complex has a pool. I've never been to it. And a clubhouse.
I've been down there a bunch of times.
Never been to it. And then I'm going to ride motorcycles this summer.
It's a nice pool.
Couple more weeks. We're going to see. It's all going to fucking come back. I'm going to feel a lot better. They told me. When I saw them fucking T numbers, I was like, oh, shit. No wonder I feel like shit.
Well, that's what, when you showed me the shit, I was like, well, that explains it. Because honestly, I told them, I was like, look, I was afraid that he was going to go down there.
Yeah.
And they were going to be like, your testosterone level's fine, so I don't really know what you're whining about. So I thought it was going to be like that. But like when he showed me the shit, I was like, oh, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, dude. I was like, well, that explains a lot.
Testosterone of like a fucking 70-something-year-old man.
I mean, considering that, you're actually not as bad as I would have expected.
I was gaining weight, working out,
as I would have expected.
It took forever to heal up. It took forever to heal up, but in that negativity, it started about 2 years ago when my dad fucking had all those surgeries. I started just getting depression kicked in. I think fucking that affected not only my mind but just my whole endocrine system.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I started to get real negative.
Yeah.
It's a spiral. The other veterans told me the same thing happened to them. They come out of service and they go into the spiral.
Well, and I was going to say this before. I feel like maybe, I don't know if women have this, but like dudes have a thing where when you're not young and quote unquote useful
you
anymore,
programmed to die.
It's almost kind of like you feel like, oh, I don't have any purpose anymore, and they kind of like go into these death spirals or whatever. Yeah. And it's like, I feel like, I don't know, like women don't really have that, I guess, because, I mean, from my point of view, I'm not speaking for all women, obviously, but from my point of view, I've always felt irrelevant, so I don't really care if I'm irrelevant or not. So it's just kind of like, I don't know, it doesn't bother me all that much. It's like, yeah, I'm getting old, and it's just like, no one cares. I don't care. It doesn't bother me. I don't know why it doesn't bother me. But I feel like that's something that like a lot of dudes from my grandpa's and my dad's generation.
I think it's all men.
As soon as they retire from their jobs, they would drop dead.
Yep.
And I was just like, holy crap, dude. They didn't have any hobbies. They didn't have any other like identity, like other than their jobs. And like, so as soon as that was gone, they didn't have anything else to live for, and they just like croaked.
If your man's 40 or over, have that motherfucker checked out. Have him do some blood work. Look at this. Look at what his fucking bioavailability and his fucking total testosterone are. It only costs a couple $100. Gotta check that shit out. If that bitch is under, put him on treatment. He'll feel a lot better. I mean, I feel pretty good right now, but they say 3 weeks into it, it's just night and day. We'll see.
But I mean, like you said, you only had the injection yesterday.
Yeah, I can feel a difference, but it's they say 3 weeks into it because it's so much of it is built up in your body and it's been like doing its job. They say that you fucking feel like a fucking $1 million.
And as I said, in my experience, even though women have a bad reputation, it's like, oh, they have periods and they're like emotionally volatile or whatever. I have never found that. In my experience, that's usually dudes that have that kind of up and down kind of crazy thing. Women are a lot more kind of stable.
Well, you guys go ahead and tell yourself that.
No, I'm just saying that, like, it just in my personal experience. I don't know if that's like true or not, but
evolutionary in an evolutionary way. All right, men were not designed. Doesn't matter what species. I'm talking about males of other species too. Male ants, or not male ants, all ants are female. Male dogs and male lions and shit. They didn't live long. They didn't have to live long. They lived a short, dangerous life. They reproduced a few times. Did a lot of fighting, trying to get rid of the other males so they could impregnate some female. And when their shit started to get weak, they died.
Well, because they were no longer useful.
They're no longer useful.
I mean, they didn't need to be around to like raise children or to like do anything like that. That was a woman's job.
So that's kind of like bred into the male genome
in
all the other species.
Because we got a lot of shit to do.
But this is 2021. You can fucking
but evolution doesn't work that fast.
No, but you can counteract it with exogenous fucking hormones and stuff because now they know how the body works. So you can counteract what evolution has done to you. Eventually, I think they'll be able to make artificial bodies or download the human mind into a digital matrix, and you'll live on. Man,
I hope that they do that.
I believe you'll live on in a.
If I could pop my brain into like some other body that I chose, like a fucking avatar, like I'm totally.
I think what they'll do is they'll download your consciousness into something like an internet, and the internet from your point of view will become a heaven-like realm.
See,
if you want to come out of it, you can inhabit a synthetic android type body, or even or maybe inhabit a ship or an airplane or a spaceship or anything like that, and you can be that for a while.
Tom's childhood dream of being an airplane.
When I was fucking 6, I wanted to be a goddamn airplane. That was, what do you want to be when you grow up? An airplane. They fucking looked at me like I was fucking crazy. I want to be an airplane. But fucking you'll do shit like that, or you're going to be a robot. And then you go back into the fucking internet and be... Now, some people will say, well, that's cheating and that's immortality and God doesn't want that. It's not immortality. Because what happened is eventually over the millions or billions of years, that internet will be destroyed through a supernova or something like that. You will eventually die. You'll just die later. So think of it as life extension.
Sure.
You know, because I'm not afraid of death. You know, I've had out-of-body experiences and near-death experiences and motorcycle accidents. I do believe in another realm. People will call it a heaven-like experience, but you'll eventually go there. That shit can wait. It doesn't care if you live on another couple thousand years. That's nothing.
Like I said, I'm not concerned. Like, if they come up with some shit, they're like, hey, you want to pop your brain into this, like, fucking robot? I'd be like, sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
If you lived an additional 2
I'm
or 3
with it. I
or
don't care.
5,000 years, or even an additional 5 million years, the universe wouldn't know the difference. It wouldn't care. Neither would heaven.
That's what I mean. The universe does not care about you.
The
so
universe does
you
not
might as well just do...
Get that bonus time.
Sure. Might as well do whatever you want to do.
Yep.
Universe does not care about you.
Yep. So.
But in a way, that's like liberating.
Yep.
I find it liberating.
Yeah, I believe in an afterlife, but you don't have to go if you don't want to. If the technology says, no, we can make you live 10,000 years longer, do it.
Yeah. Okay.
Heaven can wait. It won't know the difference because in the grand scheme of things, even 10 million years is still nothing. I mean, people have a hard time wrapping their mind around a concept called deep time.
Well, our lifespans are so short.
Your lifespan is a blink. It's a flash compared to how long the universe will last.
Sure.
So it won't matter if you.
And like I said, the universe doesn't care about you.
Right.
And like I said, I'm not saying that to be mean. I find that a very liberating concept because it gives you a lot of freedom. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In that.
Everybody's in
that
there
regard.
talking now.
Where was I?
Yeah.
Okay, so 18, Hands of Warlock, 1924. And some people said, because I think it was like remade or, under different titles. But yeah, see the original, I liked it. It was a silent movie. Number 17, I'm going to go with Dead of Night from 1945, which was an anthology movie, if I remember correctly. Also, number 16, White Zombie, 1932. Bela Lugosi. One of the very few, because you guys know, I talked about this on our Serpent and the Rainbow review.
Yeah.
I fucking love old school zombie movies.
Serpent and the Rainbow.
And White Zombie was probably the first one.
Serpent and the Rainbow was good. It was a lot better than I remembered it. I saw it when I was a kid in high school. It was a lot better than I remembered it. I didn't really like it that much when I saw it, but it's good. It's a good Haitian zombie movie.
Yeah, and like I said, they didn't make a lot of those. Right. But White Zombie was one of the first ones, and Bela Lugosi was in it. Very good. Number 15, I'm going to go with Night of the Demon from 1957, which I feel like doesn't get seen enough. It's very underseen, so, check that shit out.
I don't remember that one.
Yeah, I know.
I don't remember Night of the
Number
Demon.
14, I'm going to go with The Man Who Laughs, 1928. This was the inspiration for the Joker, if you guys didn't know.
I've seen the pictures of that dude. He looks just like the Joker.
Well, that's where they got the idea from.
Yeah.
The Man Who Laughs. I don't know if I'd call it a horror movie. I guess it's a horror movie, but it kind of had, I don't know. It's kind of hard to
exactly
classify. But yeah,
there's photographs of that dude with that big old fucking toothy mouth and that fucking hair, and you're like, man, it looks like the Joker. He looks just like the Joker.
Because that's where they got the idea for the Joker from. That's where.
When I was a kid growing up, fucking, the Joker to me was Cesar Romero in the old fucking Joker serial, the old TV series from the 60s. And I didn't know what to make of that as a kid. That was like some fucking cocaine-inspired shit.
Sure.
Like if somebody was doing cocaine and LSD, they'd come up with that Batman television movie. I want that shit on Blu-ray.
Okay.
I'm going to buy that shit on Blu-ray.
We have Amazon. You can buy it right now if you want to. Live on fucking...
No.
Okay.
I want a hard copy. I want to see that. Because that had some hotties on that, man. That had fucking Eartha Kitt. And then fucking that also had... What was the other Batwoman? There were two Batwomen. Eartha Kitt was, I think, the first one. And then the second one was that redhead. You had to be a cute chick to be on fucking the old Batman.
Well, yeah.
And then the dudes that they had were on there were total freakazoids. Like Cesar Romero.
Sure.
Cesar Romero was fucking... That dude was like he snorted 5 lines. Every time he fucking... And then fucking Adam West and fucking Robin. That was some fucking kind of kinky shit there.
Julie Newmar, somebody.
Julie Newmar. Yeah. That's right. God, that woman was gorgeous. She was...
She was, actually.
Yeah, she was gorgeous. And then you had that whole goddamn thing with the fucking Batman and Robin. And is this a homosexual relationship? What is this shit? You know what I mean? You got Batman with this cute boy in his mask running around in his little shorty shorts with his little booty shoes on. And then
I'm not judging if it like that's.
But
if
just
it
come
works
out and tell us what it
man.
is. Come out and tell us what it is.
Well, you couldn't do that back then.
Okay, all right.
Come on.
They're like, And there was all these superheroes with these running around with these little boys in the comic books during that period.
That's what I mean. Well, I feel like there was a lot of stuff.
Suspicious shit, man. Suspicious shit.
I mean, suspicious just in the sense that you couldn't get away with that kind of shit back then. So you had to, like, kind of code everything, and you had to kind of, like, you know.
Got a grown man running around.
But if you were into that kind of shit, you were like, oh, I see.
I don't know, man. A grown man running around with a 10-year-old boy through the whole fucking comic book. Nowadays, you get arrested for that shit.
Well, it was a different time.
That's some Epstein shit.
It was a different time. I mean, 10 that's a little young.
I'm talking shit. I'm just having fun, people, because I don't. That's not what it was. I knew exactly what it was.
David June says that's why they had Aunt Harriet, so people didn't think they were gay.
Yeah. What it really was, I was around during that time, you know what I mean? And fucking my friends, I wasn't too much into comic books, but my friends, like in 3rd grade, were getting all that shit. And back in the 70s, the old comic books were going away, and the new comic books were coming in. It was like Fantastic Four and fucking, you know, Galacticus and all that kind of shit. And they were getting rid of the fucking boys' sidekicks. But the reason why they were doing it is they were trying to get boys to buy the goddamn comic book, and they would feel like they were included alongside with the superhero.
I kind of feel
That's
like
what
there wasn't really anything sinister to it. They were just kind of like, hey, we need a kid character.
Right, so the boy reading
so the kid
can
reading
feel
it
like
can
he's next
insert
to
himself into the story.
That's all it was. So a lot of people have fucking
nothing nefarious. No. We're just all perverts.
Yeah, nowadays. It's all perverts. It's just funny to look at it from the other side. You know. Like if that shit was really going on, your ass would be in jail.
Well, yeah.
Running around.
I mean,
this is my ward. You know.
My ward.
Your ward, huh?
My houseboy.
Yeah, my houseboy.
Which, like I said, nowadays people would be like,
yeah,
okay, but you know.
Well, I think.
But you can see how it came about. It wasn't necessarily.
I think there were many a little fucking.
Not necessarily.
I think there were many a little gay boy that maybe misinterpreted some of that stuff.
But look, everybody's gonna bring their own experiences. They're gonna bring their own shit to it. That's the awesome thing, and sometimes the problematic thing about fiction is that you bring your own experiences to it, and if you have like some different experiences to what the authors intended, then shit's gonna read a lot different to you than maybe the person that wrote and illustrated.
God damn, there are like 20 Julie Newmars written in there. Everybody jumps up. Julie Newmar, yeah.
Okay.
She was cute. I mean, when I was fucking 6 or 7 or 8, I was just fucking drooling over that woman. Just like, God, that woman's so cute. Yeah. Because back in those days, full-grown, beautiful women were far out of your reach. You could just, because you're like,
that's like mom
you're
size.
Like 7, and you're like going fucking, God, I wish I could have, God, I wish I could have that. But, you know, it's just like, that's true, though. A lot of people don't believe that, but when I was a little boy, I was trying to hit everything. I was trying to hit
I was a 6 or 7 year old girl, and I was like trying to help boys in the fucking class. Yeah. So don't even tell me about that.
Right. I was fucking Deborah Harry and everything. Fucking big into Deborah Harry.
I would have hit Deborah Harry back in the day.
Big into that chick from Land of the Lost, Holly. But then when we went back and watched Land of the Lost, and Holly was into her fucking so-called brother on the show.
God, I love it.
And I just realized like how much that girl was just fucking dripping wet for fucking Will.
She loved him so much.
It's just so obvious.
Oh my God, it was so funny.
Will, you're like, keep your fucking panties on.
Keep your
fucking panties on.
We talked about this before.
And
I didn't realize it when I was a kid, when I was watching it, but like you watch it now, I'm like,
God damn.
And
the dude playing Will is obviously getting kind of embarrassed. I could see that he was getting a little bit uncomfortable.
It's a weird situation to be in because he's like, look, I'm kind of flattered, but also I'm kind of weirded out because this kid
I'm like
is
19 or 20 and you're about 14.
And it's like, this is like illegal in many states. And
well, in the 70s, it wouldn't have mattered.
I mean, it was still illegal.
It was still illegal, but in the 70s, they didn't press charges on shit like that. Then fucking that's how fucking, especially not in the Hollywood area. That's how fucking old fucking Roman Polanski got in fucking trouble with the fucking shit that he was doing.
Because she was 14.
She was about 14. They were doing that too. And then there were drugs involved, and it was just another time. I mean, you know, shit, half the damn Manson family going around killing people and taking drugs and having big old fucking sex orgies. Half of them were under the age of 16.
Well, and the cults that we're going to be talking about on Saturday's show, the Source family, there was a lot of that going on too. Well, the thing about it, okay, like I said, so the 60s were a magical time. And it was kind of a thing where, man, you were like 13 and you weren't like down with your parents, like they were like fucking bringing you down, man. So it's like you just fucking ran off to California or whatever and you joined a cult, and then somehow you ended up marrying a 50-year-old guru.
Yeah.
So he wouldn't get charged with statutory rape. It was a whole thing.
Scott Iain talking about Batman and Boy Wonder, he goes, it was a mentorship. Yes, it was. It was a mentorship.
Bunny rabbit. Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, but I don't know. Am I just being a pervert? I don't know.
No.
But I'm just being a pervert because, I mean, I don't know if, like, I'm into, like, fucking, I like all that, like, fucking gay porn, man. So it's like, you know.
I think all women like gay porn. Paul goes.
It's a very large audience.
Yeah.
Maybe people will be surprised to know, women love gay porn.
Paul Moore says, "Oh man, I dream of Genie and Bewitched. I was for sure into MILFs when I was a kid. Hell yeah, hell yes. I was fucking big into fucking."
That makes me feel better being like an old
that shit. No.
An old broad.
Yeah.
An old wench, as I am.
No, when I was a kid, I was into older women.
Although I'm not a MILF because I don't have any children. Yeah. So I'm not I'm more like a WILF.
Well,
I'm a WILF.
Well, what was her name?
I'm an O-WILF, an old woman.
Yeah.
You know
no,
what I mean?
the Jeannie and fucking Samantha, they weren't that old. I think they were in their fucking 20s. I think maybe Samantha was in her early 30s, wasn't she? Sam? What was the name of that outfit?
I don't know why you're asking me, because I don't really know.
They weren't old. They were pretty young.
No, they would have seemed old.
Yeah, they would have seemed old to a little kid. But they weren't that old. What was her name? Fucking Barbara Eden, I think at that time was in her 20s.
Yeah. Like I said, that's.
But the thing is back in the 60s, that was damn near old. If you were 30, you were old. 60s.
It's like Logan's Run, man. You're 30 years old.
Yeah, you're 30.
Go to Carousel. We're wiping your ass out.
Exactly.
Oh, shit.
People didn't live long. Not much was expected out of them.
Isn't that
You leave
funny?
the service, you join a corporation, you make a few cars, they kill you.
I told you.
Yeah. You move to the suburbs and die.
When I was growing up, and I remember this very distinctly. So this must have been, I was 12.
Yeah.
So it was 1984, maybe.
Yeah.
And I remember being in school and being like, and they were talking about the year 2000. I was like, oh my God, in the year 2000, I'm going to be 28 years old. Holy fuck, that feels like so fucking old.
Elizabeth Montgomery.
And I am like 20 years older than that now.
Yeah.
And it's just like so fucking funny to think about.
Yeah, Joe,
when I was little, like how old that seemed.
Joe reminded me it was Elizabeth Montgomery. That's what her name was. I haven't said that name in a long. The best part, look, man. Zach can agree with me. The best part of fucking Bewitched was fucking Uncle Arthur. Remember fucking Uncle Arthur?
Yeah.
Uncle Arthur is fucking funny.
Like don't look at me for.
They always had a gay character, but they always kept that shit down the down low.
Nobody called it gay though.
No, they
but always had one.
They always had a gay character. They just didn't call him gay, because you had to be old enough to know.
You
what it was.
couldn't say that.
You couldn't say.
You couldn't say that.
You couldn't say it. Yeah.
Which is stupid, but whatever. You couldn't say that like back on TV.
Yeah.
In the
You
day.
couldn't say.
You couldn't even show like married couples sleeping in the same fucking bed back then.
Yeah,
Jesus
right.
Christ.
It was fucking funny.
Everyone was so fucking uptight.
And who is the king of all gays?
Paul Lynde.
Paul Lynde is the king of all gays from the Hollywood Square. Zach, Paul Lynde has you buried in the fucking dirt. You would never measure.
I love Paul Lynde.
You would. I want you to go back.
He's in the center square of like fucking Hollywood Squares, and he's
for fucking
drunk.
A decade. Drunk
he's
off his ass.
constantly drunk for like a decade.
Yeah, for a decade they got that bitch in the center square.
And he had the most barbed wit. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Fucking Oscar Wilde couldn't deal with that bitch.
Yeah, that was like some Oscar Wilde shit.
Yeah. And he'd be sitting there and fucking... It was funny because they'd record all those shows all on the same day. They might record 12 shows in a day. And you could see that he was drunker and drunker as each show would be. Sometimes you'd see him with his glass. You'd see him with his glass and he'd be putting it down like that as they ask him a question. He's hiding the glass. It was just another time, man. The 70s were fucking great. And I'd be a little kid watching this shit. Coming home from school, I was just fucking loving it. I didn't know that Paul Lynde was gay. I didn't know what gay was. But I just fucking... It was obvious that dude was a fucking...
He was like the...
He ran that fucking show.
Nowadays, they would call that throwing shade.
Yeah.
And he was like the
fucking
master at throwing shade.
Yeah. And it
so
wasn't...
good.
And it was all ad-libbed. It wasn't scripted. And fucking people that knew him said he was like that in real life.
He just like gave some like devastating fucking shit.
Yeah.
And like it was like a devastating insult, but you didn't know it was an insult until like a couple minutes later. You're like, wait, what?
Yeah. And that
bitch.
That bitch would go to the fucking gay bar wearing a dashiki. Did you know that?
I love it.
He wore dashikis and shit to the gay bar.
Yeah. Which, like I said, I love that. Yeah. And also, another thing I love is that he did the voice of Templeton the Rat in fucking Charlotte's Web. Yeah. Which was one of my favorite books and also one of my favorite cartoons when I was a kid. And he did that shit, and I love that they hired him to do that. That is just, that's fantastic.
That's some gay history for you, Zach.
Fantastic.
That's some gay history for you, Zach. Go back and go see your ancestors. Go see your ancestors. That bitch was fucking awesome. He was fucking awesome. Yeah. He was fucking hilarious.
Zach says, Ken says, and Charles Nelson Riley.
Yes. And Rip Taylor.
Oh my God, with the confetti.
Yeah, the confetti.
Oh,
Rip Taylor.
Lord.
This was back before you could say a man was gay on television. You had to figure it out on your own.
They were, no one would say that. It's just,
They had too much class. They had too much class to say it. You just had to figure it out on your own.
You just couldn't say it, though. They're just like so funny.
Fucking funny, yeah. Charles Nelson Riley. Riley was good.
And it's weird too because like a lot of fucking Hollywood, like big Hollywood actors were gay, but they couldn't say like Ron Hudson and stuff like that, and you couldn't come out. Yeah. So they had to like take pictures and like look at this woman that I'm with.
Yeah.
Hey, fantastic.
It's called a mustache or a
beard.
It's
a beard. It's called it's not a mustache. It's a beard. So they had to like do this whole thing. It's like they had to do like sham marriages, and they had to have this whole fucking It's just it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Lind, fucking Riley, and fucking oh shit! I just said his name. Fucking
I don't know. What'd you say?
Taylor. Those three guys
Taylor,
right there.
Sure.
They were your gays.
It's funny.
Yeah, those were your gays that were out. Those are the ones that were out. They brought them in like, okay, we need a gay. Okay,
they were out
get him,
in the sense that they could be like flamboyant, but you couldn't say,
they were gay.
I have sex with men. That was like taboo.
Yeah, but everybody knew. You just couldn't say.
Sure.
Yeah, and fucking, it was a different time, man. And in a way,
weird.
In a way, it made
it's so weird.
But you know what's funny is that it made for really good television. It made for very good television. Because they weren't telling you. You had to figure everything out. Everything was innuendo, and that was part of the humor.
Everything was innuendo, and everything was like coded.
Innuendo and inside jokes and all kinds of shit. You couldn't having certain
because you couldn't say anything outright because you weren't allowed.
Having the rules, actually, they played with the rules. It made the humor even better.
Yeah, because you had to work around.
You had to work around it,
and sometimes that makes comedy better when you have like limitations like that.
Them working around it was all part of the joke.
Yeah.
Which it was fucking. It was just. It was. I went back and watched another good shit, man. We're fucking getting sidetracked, but this is a sidetrack show.
Well, yeah, there's whole another show one. Is sidetracked.
You can see all these shows on YouTube. They're all fucking recorded, and you can watch them again. Hollywood Squares was a good one with Paul Lynde back in the day.
I used to love that shit.
Another one that was great was one called The Liars Club.
Yeah.
I love that
We just rewatched a lot of that on YouTube
The Liars
recently.
Club was fucking good. And all that was like a panel of fucking like 4 or 5.
Was Betty White on that shit?
White, she was on it a lot of times.
She is a national treasure.
And so was Betty fucking White. Buddy Hackett, and he would be drunk off his ass.
Yeah.
And what you did was you had 2 contestants. They're betting money. They had to bet who was fucking telling the truth. All right. and they would hand a fucking strange, unidentifiable object to the first celebrity, and he would tell you what it was.
Probably most of the time it was a vibrator.
Well, five out of 6 of them were lying. One of them was telling the truth, and you had to figure out which one was telling the truth. All right.
Like what?
All
this
about
thing
this
was.
object.
Sure.
And fucking these Buddy Hackett would fucking tell some fucking lies.
The shit they could come up with.
Yeah, and what was funny is that he'd be lying about the object, but then it turned out that it was true. Because he could make the truth sound like a lie. That's how good he was.
Well, see, that's what you need for a show like that.
Yeah. He could be telling the truth, but he just sounded like he was fucking lying. Because he knew how to embellish the truth until it became a lie. And maybe that's
why they kept hiring him for that show.
Yeah,
because
and he'd be fucking
he was
loaded.
throwing everybody off the scent.
Yeah, there's him and the other guy from Hogan's Heroes. I forgot what that motherfucker's name is.
Wasn't Bob Crane, was it?
No.
The one that got
It was
murdered?
the blonde guy.
Oh, right.
Somebody in the
I know
somebody in the
I'm too drunk to
comments
remember.
will fucking say you could see them fucking lifting fucking glasses of scotch, and then when the camera hit them, they'd be putting the scotch down because they would fucking record 10 of them a fucking day.
Like, look,
and
you can't expect us to like record all day and not have any booze. Come on now.
Not in the 70s. Not back in the 70s.
Not nowadays. Not in this house.
Then you'd have fucking guests like Sammy Davis Jr. showed up. He was good at that kind of shit too. Sometimes they'd have bigger celebrity guests show up to these things. It's kind of like an attraction. I remember he would be on some of them shows. He was pretty good too.
Yeah, I remember that.
And there's Sammy Davis Jr. showing up.
Yeah.
Because that fucker would drink too.
He was a fun dude.
Yeah, he was funny.
Man, he was in like the fucking Cannonball Run movies.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't him and Burt Reynolds in the fucking Ferrari?
Yeah, and fucking Dom DeLuise and all those guys. Captain Chaos. Remember he dressed
One
up
of
as
these
Captain
days
Chaos.
we should do the first
Gotta do Cannonball Run.
Cannonball Run.
Yeah, I haven't seen it forever.
I saw it like a million times when I was a
Yeah.
kid. I saw the second one too. I don't
Yeah.
remember the second one as much. But I remember the first one. It's like I remember really liking it.
Yeah.
So,
What's your next one?
so where was I? Okay. Man Who Laughs, we talked about that.
Yeah.
That's how we went off on the whole fucking Batman tangent. Number 13 is where I was. I Walked with a Zombie.
I don't know that one.
1943. That is also Bela Lugosi, and that's another like Haitian zombie movie. Like I said, I love that kind of shit. So you're gonna do fucking Rocky Erickson did a song called I Walked with a Zombie based on this fucking movie, as far as I know. But yeah, good flick. 19 what did I say? 1943. Next one, number 12, Hexan. 1922. This is another silent movie. This is a weird movie because it's almost kind of like half. I want to say it was like Swedish or Norwegian or something like that. This movie was like half. It almost seemed like it wanted to be a documentary about witchcraft, but also it wanted to be a horror movie. So it kind of had a thing where it was kind of like, it had the imprimatur, if I can use that snotty word, of being a documentary, but it was also sort of fictionalized. So the thing about Hexan was that it was kind of like, half of it was kind of like, look, here's the thing about witchcraft and blah, blah, blah. And they went a lot into how nowadays, which in 1922 was 1922, it's like a lot of stuff that would have, a lot of people that would have been burned at the stake back in the day of, the witchcraft burnings and stuff. It's like that would have been seen as witchcraft back then, but like nowadays in the 1920s, contemporary with when this movie was made, we understand now that that is mental illness. So it's better now than then, but it's like, it's really weird because I don't know, this is like a really weird movie. And because it was European, they could get away with a lot of shit that probably in the 1920s, well, not probably, definitely in the 1920s, you would not have been able to get away with. There was a lot of nudity. There was like kind of like, hey, we're going to like fucking cook a baby and we're going to do this and that. So there's a lot of shit in here, which if you're coming at it from, hey, they would have shown that in the 1920s, you might be surprised at the shit they showed in the 1920s. in Europe at least. So it's I kind of feel like Hexan is one of those movies where if you're into horror movies, if you're into the history of horror movies, if you're interested in it, you kind of need to see it because it's one of those kind of iconic silent films that I don't know. There was so much in it that is iconic. There's so much in it that I don't know. It's just more people need to see it. So, like I said, Hexan is my number 12, and that came out in 1922, as I said. Now my number 11, and like I said, it was really hard for me to like put these in order, so don't get like too fucking, concerned with what order I put the shit in because it was like really difficult for me to like fucking, what is this?
It's a little like granola bar type thing.
Okay, well I don't know, it's like late, I might eat one later, but we'll see.
Just gotta get something in my stomach all this drinking.
Yeah. So you missed number 12, which was Hexan.
Hexan, I remember that one, yeah.
Yeah. Which, like I said, you might be shocked because it was European, because it came out in 1922. You might be shocked at some of the stuff that they show in it. Also, the cinematography, very nice for 1922, gotta say. But
what shocked me that they showed it.
It's about witchcraft. Well, there's a lot of nudity. There's like babies being killed in it, like sacrificed and shit. It's about witchcraft.
Right.
And it's kind of like half fictionalized shit and like half documentary, kind of like about witchcraft. So it's a good one to watch. Like I said, if you're interested in the history of cinema at all, you should probably watch Hexan because it's kind of like it's an iconic film from like the silent era. So probably you should watch it. Number 11, I'm going to go with Invasion of the Body Snatchers, 1956. I love pretty much every version of Invasion of the Body Snatchers because I don't remember if my 70s one, I might have had to take it off the list, but if I did, I'm sorry because I love the 70s version. 50s version is good too. I like the 70s version better, but the 50s version is also good. 50s version was kind of like as most horror movies of the 50s were kind of like, oh my god, the commies are coming to get us. And it was always kind of like that. But still good, though. I mean, aliens coming, like, taking over people. You can't, you can't beat that. So, Invasion of the Body Snatcher is very good from 1956. Number 10, Night of the Hunter, 1955. Dude with the fucking love-hate shit on this. Robert Mitchum was in that shit. Oh, so good. And he's, like, going after those kids. See, you haven't seen anything. He hasn't seen anything. Night of the Hunter is a fucking classic from the 50s. Everybody see that shit.
These are old movies.
Well, yeah, this first list is from 1900 to 1959, actually.
Okay.
So, the fact that I had to take some off of this, but, So, yeah, Night of the Hunter, 1955. Number 9... Les Diaboliques, also from 1955. Great fucking French thriller about these two women. Like, this dude so he has a wife, and he's cheating on her with this mistress. It's at this fucking school or whatever, like a boarding school. And so the wife and the mistress get together, and they're like, man, we're going to kill this fucker because he sucks. And... shit ensues. They think they kill him, they put him in the pool and shit, but it's not quite as simple as all that. Really, really good flick. So if you haven't seen Les Diaboliques, they remade it, I think. Didn't they make an English language version? I feel like they made an English language version later on, which was okay, but like the original is like way better. And that was from 1955. Number 8, I'm going to say Cat People.
The original Cat People.
42, directed by Val Lewton. Now, if you guys know anything about horror movies, you will know about what they call the Lewton bus, which it's essentially like a jump scare, but it's kind of, because this was a very early example of that, because there's a very famous scene in Cat People where Irina, the name of the character, and her whole thing is that when she gets sexually aroused, and they don't say it like that in the movie, but that's what they mean. She turns into, she's like a werewolf, but she turns into like essentially a panther, right?
Yeah.
So she tries not to get sexually aroused because she doesn't want to turn into a panther and eat people, but you know, it happens.
Trying not to get sexually aroused. Think of that shit for a while.
That's very difficult. It's very difficult.
Well, I grew up with a Natasha Kinski one. And that bitch right there.
That's good too. I like that one too.
With
Malcolm McDowell and Natasha
right.
Kinski.
And you know, I was pretty young, but I was old enough to get sexually aroused over Natasha Kinski. She was fucking cute, man. Yeah, real cute. Yeah, that was a good movie. And then it had David Bowie doing the soundtrack to it.
Yeah.
See these eyes so.
Yeah, he did a whole song called "Cat People."
Yeah. I can
parenthetical putting out fires. That was the name of it. Yeah. But the original is very, very good. And like I said, if you've ever heard anybody like referring to like the Luton bus, talking about a jump scare, that's what they're talking about. Because there's a very famous scene in this where Irina is like walking down the street and there's like a noise, and it sounds like growling. And you think some like an animal is like sneaking up on her, and then like this bus comes, is like, and it's like this thing. So it's like one of the very earliest jump scares, and it's kind of like iconic. So if you haven't seen that, you should probably check it out. That was from 1942. Number 7, I'm going to go with Nosferatu, 1922. Maybe I should have put that higher. I don't know. I feel bad about it. But I really, really like Nosferatu. And
that movie shouldn't have existed, though. They tried to wipe that one out.
Well, it almost did get wiped out because, I don't know if you guys know, but because it was based on Dracula, but... Bram Stoker's widow. Bram Stoker was dead by this time, but Bram Stoker's widow was like, "Hey, bitch, you can't like make a fucking adaptation of Dracula without my say so." So like, well, we're gonna do it anyway. We're gonna change all the names. So they did that, and then she was just kind of like, "Yeah, no." So I'm gonna sue, and she did, and it was successful. So basically, the court said you have to destroy all the copies of this. Now, a lot of the copies of it were destroyed, but not all of them. Somebody still had one, like, floating around somewhere, which, thankfully, because this was, honestly, Nosferatu might be the closest adaptation of the novel. I mean, it's way closer than Dracula from the 1930s. Because it actually makes the vampire look like what he looked like in the book. He looks like a gross ass,
like a rat.
Mm-hmm. And I like that they made him like monstrous and stuff, because they didn't really, the original Dracula with Bela Lugosi, which I love and which is on this list. Spoiler alert. But I feel like that was kind of the start of making vampires like all suave and handsome and blah blah blah. But in the book, he looked like a gross rat-like, stinky old man, right? So I kind of feel like Nosferatu leaned into that. And I want to say too, like in my 2000s, I think in my 2000s list, another movie, I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but another movie that it's on my list, I think, is Shadow the Vampire, which was a movie that was about the making of Nosferatu, but that it posited that the dude that played Nosferatu, Max Schreck, was actually a vampire. Which, if you see him in the movie, you can kind of believe it, because he looked inhuman.
Yeah.
He had the big fucking ears and the fucking, just all the shit about that, like all the shit about like the shadow going up the fucking, that's so good. The imagery in that is so good. So, just gonna say.
Actually, I think, if I remember correctly, the version of Nosferatu that we have was one of the surviving versions. I think there were a couple other edits, if I remember correctly.
I don't know if there were. It's like, I kind of feel like they destroyed most of the prints, except for one or two. I know there have been a couple of other edits, and there have been a couple of other ones that people have added their own soundtracks to, because obviously it's a silent movie, so you can kind of like put whatever. I mean, even in the 80s and 90s, I feel like some goth bands were like, hey, here's Nosferatu, but with our score to it.
Yeah. Now, I know that that old Phantom of the Opera, there's like a shit ton of edits. There was a shit ton of edits even back then.
Yeah.
Because it started off as a silent movie that got converted into a talkie. It was right at about that time. And we evidently only have like a couple of edits. There's a bunch of other ones that have been lost. Do you know about that?
Oh, I don't know. Like, well, the
that
thing
was
about
Phantom
it,
of the Opera.
and the thing about the silent era is that unfortunately, a large proportion of movies from the silent era are totally gone.
They're gone, yeah.
Because they made them on silver nitrate stock, which I don't know if you know, but is like super combustible. So a lot of that stuff doesn't keep real well, and if it wasn't like a big movie that anyone wanted to preserve, it would like just like blow up and burn down. Like nobody like thought to keep it. So it's really kind of sad. Like I said on my blog, I used to do a series called Scary Silence, and there are so many. Like I even talked about one on there. It was like a Russian silent film. I think it was called The Portrait, and I think it was based on a story by what's his fucking face, Nikolai Gogol. And there's only 8 minutes of that film remaining. It's like it used to be, as far as they know, at least an hour and 20 minutes long, hour and a half, whatever. And so much of it was lost because they didn't really know about like preserving films, or like they didn't really care about it. So it's like a lot of silent films from that era have been completely lost.
I think really Badger's making a comment about Phantom of the Opera. I remember that there's a scene in the Phantom of the Opera that we have where somebody comes out of a damn cave and they're talking to the camera, but there's no audio. And it's my understanding that the audio track was lost, or there was never an audio track, that it had something to do with it being a silent movie at one time, and they had lost the board that had the audio.
Right.
So they didn't know what he was saying, but it's it's somebody establishing the scene, the movie. There was evidently a lot of stuff cut out of the original Phantom of the Opera that is just like long gone, and it was replaced by newer cuts that were added later, because evidently that movie happened right as it was transitioning from silent to talkie.
To talkie, sure.
And there were like several edits of both silent and talkie, and they got mushed together in different ways and shown in several different regions of the United States. And most of the versions of them are gone. All we have is, I think, 2 different talkie versions, and they're evidently both wrong.
Which,
There's
like
a
I
bunch
said,
of shit
that's
wrong
really
with them.
sad because I think what happened at the time, like you had in the 20s and 30s, they were putting out a lot of horror movies, and I think they were kind of like at the time they were just thinking they were, throwaway or like expendable. It's like these are just like a horror movie. No one's gonna care about these like fucking 80 years from now. So they would just put them out. They didn't really care that much about preserving them or doing, because they didn't have, I mean, I'm not blaming them. They didn't have like the foresight to see that like, maybe 80, 90 years from now, it's like people will be like, oh, this is a classic and we should have like preserved it. But they don't, so they didn't really give that much of a shit about it.
No,
they just thought it was kind of like a throwaway horror movie.
During the silent
like teenagers are going to watch it.
During the silent era, movies were shit anyway. They were something that were kind of cooked up as a scam to sell to audiences in little theaters. They never intended in keeping these things. It was just something that you cooked
it's
up
only
real quick
now
and you
that you see that it's like a classic and it's like it's amazing.
It's
but
only
it's
classic
like,
now. Back then there
was so many of them. It's like they don't really give a shit.
It was cheap, disposable shit, and they weren't really even taking it serious back then. They just
which is sad, but
they were just trying to get asses into seats.
Yeah,
that's all it was. Kind of like something out of a carnival.
Yeah,
they weren't reputable.
And horror movies particularly.
Anything associated with theater wasn't reputable. An actor was an actress was a synonym for a hooker. back in that day.
For a long time.
Yeah, it might still be. But, because that's where the money actually came from. They didn't live off of ticket proceeds. They lived off of selling ass, basically, to expensive or high-class fans that saw them at the theater. This goes back to the Wild West, where you had things called stars. And stars were hookers that sang at the brothel. You went and you saw them put on a show. If she was a star and she actually sang, she cost more money. That's really where all that shit comes from. It was all things of ill repute. It wasn't until later, till the silver screen era of the Depression, that actors and actresses became, quote, respectable, end quote. But I don't think they were, according to the surviving stories about the way old Hollywood was. They were always bad.
Yeah.
If you want to judge them that way. They were always naughty.
I don't.
Let's just put it that way. They were always naughty.
I don't.
Yeah.
We all have skeletons.
They were always naughty.
It's
yeah.
fine.
And, casting couches, selling services, going to parties. They were the fucking jet set. Well, before there was a jet set. These were the fucking party crowd. And they were a lot like carnies. Yeah.
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 Can I have one of those? You took them away.
I didn't take them away.
Yeah, you did.
I just moved them.
Moved it over there. I can't get
Those things are good.
What flavor are these? They all the same?
All different kinds.
Okay. Almond.
All different kinds.
All right. So what number am at? Okay. So Nosferatu, we talked about that. Number 6, The Mummy, 1932. I love Boris Karloff. Everybody knows that. And the makeup in The Mummy. I know this is more of a drama than a horror movie, I want to say. But Boris Karloff's look as the Mummy, I'm so into it. It looked so fucking good. And I liked that there was like a whole fucking love story with it. I like the whole, I love ancient Egypt shit anyway. So I was just kind of like, man, Boris Karloff with the fucking mummy shit. I love that shit.
Yeah, it was good.
I love that shit.
Serpent Surfer says the Wild West amounts to hookers and cocaine. Well, they didn't call Doc Holliday the fastest gun in the West for nothing. They said Doc Holliday, wherever he went, had a huge jar of that damn cocaine. He put it in the middle of the gambling table.
He had a jar of cocaine.
They put it, a big glass jar of cocaine. They all put it in their wine. They drink it. Those were all uncontrolled items back then. They didn't have an FDA or anything like that.
Well, it wasn't illegal.
It wasn't illegal, and they didn't really understand any kind of negative effects. But no, they drank cocaine and wine. They drank cocaine and soft drinks. It was all to sober you back up so you could drink more. They also did morphine and stuff. It was not what people thought it was. The Old West was really closer to what you've seen in an Eastwood movie, and a fucking spaghetti western. It wasn't like a 1950s, fucking Gunsmoke episode. Post-apocalyptic motherfuckers.
The 1950s were the biggest lie that anyone's ever told.
Yeah,
because they wanted to make everything look all sanitized.
Clean and sanitized and proper.
Nothing has ever been like that ever, so I don't really know where they
No, they were some bad teeth motherfuckers doing a lot of drugs, fucking shooting people during arguments, and they shot people in the back. They were just fucking regular criminals, really.
Sure.
In a lawless area. Now, they also kind of had gun control in a lot of those towns. When you showed up, you had to give your guns up. They didn't want you in the damn saloon with a gun. They took, fucking common sense measures. They took common sense precautions. You didn't want a bunch of range bums walking around with guns in the middle of your damn town. They'd shoot each other. But yeah, hookers, booze, drugs. Trying to make money, running cattle. Cowboys mostly stayed fucking put. They also transported cattle from one place to another. The dudes you had to watch for were fucking gunfighters who lived in towns, tried to make money, tried to get street cred by shooting guys. They were big into the hookers, and their girlfriends were hookers and gambling. And then you just had bandits, people that robbed you while you were going from one town to the next. You know, and also it wasn't as white as they fucking try to make it look, especially way out west. Lots of Mexican banditos, and they had black guys out there too. I had a really good Time Life book series when I was a kid about the Wild West. It was all leather bound, and it showed a photograph of a gang of dudes that were going to be hung for a fucking murder spree, robbery across 3 different states. And it was, when you saw who these badasses were, it was like 7 or 8 kids, teenagers. Some white ones, some black ones, and some Mexican ones. And that was what was really going on. And they were like 16, 17. They were fucking kids. And that's who they're making those that's really who they're making those fucking Wild West movies about. If you saw them today, you're just like, that's them? Yeah, that's them. It was fucking wild. It was wild. They were young and dumb. And they just came from everywhere. So what's the next one?
Brian Green says, Waxwork is another silent classic. I know I had to take that one off because I had too many. But that was on my list too, just FYI. So we're at number 5, Dracula 1931. I mean, Bela Lugosi, you guys. Obviously based on the stage play, not necessarily on the novel. It was kind of like, but it's iconic. It's so iconic that people still do when you say, you know, Dracula or vampire. People still do that fucking accent, like Bela Lugosi had. So, and he got buried in his Dracula cape. Sadly, he ended up with like fucking Ed Wood, which, you know, I love Ed Wood, but Bela Lugosi, I kind of feel like deserved better, you know. So yeah, I'm going with that. It's a good flick based on the stage play, not on the novel, so don't get all like head up about that. Number 4, I'm gonna go with Frankenstein, also from 1931, because like I said, I'm a huge Boris Karloff fan, so anything he's in is awesome. Also, number 3, I'm going to go with Freaks. 1932. What?
I'm going to show him the gang of those dudes I was telling you about. Oh, shit. Every time I turn one of these bitches around, the photo disappears. That's what they look like. Trying to get that shit to focus. They sentenced them all to death. Trying to see what the name of that gang was. It was the Rufus Buck Gang. That's what they were called. Rufus Buck. Go ahead, Jen.
All right. So, like I said, number 3 is Freaks, directed by Todd Browning. Now, this was an infamous film. This was a movie that when it came out, I guess because he used real circus freaks in the movie, and a lot of people kind of couldn't handle that. So there was like a lot of stories about back in 1932, like people going to see the movie in the theater and they were like throwing up in the aisles or running out of the fucking shit being like, oh my God, I can't fucking take it. You know what I mean? So basically the story is, I mean, it's like the little person of the circus, and he's kind of like getting it on with the fucking whatever her name is, like the fucking she a tightrope walker or something like that. She's like an acrobat, and they kind of get together to like kill her husband, who I think is a strong man, and it doesn't real go so well. And then at the end, Cleopatra, which is her name, and she gets turned into essentially the geek at the thing. And a lot of people, because these were real, quote-unquote, circus freaks, were really, really uncomfortable with this portrayal. But the thing about it, though, is that the circus freaks characters are very sympathetic. So I don't really know. I mean, they're the good guys. The normal-looking people are the bad guys. So I never really found it all that problematic. But it's like, it's an infamous movie. Like I said, if you're into horror movies, you really need to see Freaks from 1932. It's really, really good. Yeah. So my number 2, and like I said, this is 1900 to 1960, so I'm just like compressing several decades into this shit. Number 2, Bride of Frankenstein. Because I will admit, Bride of Frankenstein is a better movie than Frankenstein. Frankenstein's a good movie. I'm not saying that.
No, Bride of Frankenstein was better.
Bride of Frankenstein was a better movie than... Also, Lanchester. Come on. With the hair. I love it. It's like, that's fucking iconic. And plus, they added a
too.
Well,
when she came out, the thing is that when she came out, she wasn't around long enough.
True.
That was the only thing. Because I remember when she came out and she was ready, I wanted to see like another hour of her in that outfit. You know what I mean?
And I love that she just like, she looked like that and she just like was not having it.
And then she didn't want...
Well, you brought me back to life. It's like, what? You want me to like... What? Yeah,
she didn't want the monster. She wanted the fucking... She wanted Dr. Frankenstein shit. Which that made a lot more sense to me.
I mean, you know, the monster was kind of cobbled together from corpse parts.
She was a lot better made.
So...
He had upped his game by the time he made her.
Some shit.
Yeah, he had upped his game.
And the thing about Bride of Frankenstein, it's like, honestly, like all the shit about the bride and everything, that was in the original novel, Frankenstein. But what happened in the original novel was that Frankenstein's monster, was kind of like, hey, make me a mate because I'm lonely. I'm the only one that's like been cobbled together from corpse parts, so what the fuck? And so he does that, but then, this is so funny to me. But then he thinks to himself, like, he has her all, like, put together and whatnot in the book. And then he's like, oh, well, maybe I shouldn't animate her because if the two of them fuck, they'll have, like, all these weird, like, mutant babies and they'll, like, take over the earth. Which is dumb because, I mean, okay, I'm not going to get on Mary Shelley's case because back in the old days, it's like, okay, if you could bring a person, like, if you could stitch a person back together from corpses and could bring them to life, right? It would be very easy to just like, hey, I'm making a woman, she won't have a uterus, right? Like, that nowadays, that would be like really obvious, but back then, I guess it wasn't super obvious. So that's kind of like what, and then the doctor is just like, oh no, I can't do this. I can't like proliferate these like monsters all over the earth. So he's like, have to destroy her. And that was the main thing that made the monster mad and made him want to like, he's like, bitch, I'm going to kill our buddy. So that's kind of like what happened with that. But it's just like, it seemed like it would have been a really simple solution for him to make the bride and make her not have a uterus so she couldn't like reproduce. And honestly, realistically, if you sewed people together from corpses and then reanimated them, which, okay, fair enough. I'll give you that. But if you could do that and they tried to like make a bit, like, would that even work? I don't know. But like I said, I'm not going to shit on Mary Shelley because it was written a long time ago and they didn't like know what we know nowadays. So it's kind of unfair to like fucking cast that shit backwards. But you know what I'm saying. But yeah, I'm saying Bride of Frankenstein. I love the original Frankenstein, but I think Bride of Frankenstein is a better movie. Also, it has like some aspects of horror comedy, which I was kind of into that. Like, I liked the whole aesthetic of it. I don't know. I really liked Bride of Frankenstein. And that's my number 2. And, number 1, I don't know where time went, but whatever. Number 1 is Cabinet of Dr. Caligari from 1920. Now, I love German Expressionism. I just love the look of it. I just love that they're like, look, we're going to take people's mental states and we're going to like put it into like the set dressing. It's like, oh no, oh no, oh no, no, oh no, oh no. God fucking damn it. God damn it. Everybody still there or no? Did it crash?
Did it crash?
It might have.
It's still moving.
No, this is still moving. This is not moving. See what your shit says.
You're saying, oh, it's freezing.
Oh, god damn it.
No. I just came back. We're on there. We're on.
Are we?
Yeah, it's still working.
I can't see
it. They still
it,
hear us. They still see it. Yeah.
Nope. Oh.
Go ahead and full screen that.
My laptop crashed, though.
Your laptop crashed? No, it isn't. No, it didn't. Is it? It's running over here. Maybe crashing.
I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, my shit crashed. Well.
It crashed.
Ugh.
No. It's still running.
Man, don't fucking do this to me, man. I'm gonna get really annoyed. I'm drunk enough and I'm gonna get really, really, really annoyed.
No. They can hear us?
Yeah, but I can't see my though. I can't see it in my comments. I can't see it. And look, my shit keeps stopping.
All right. Guys, we're gonna fucking open up a new stream, okay?
Yeah, because I don't have the patience for this right
now.
we're
gonna open up a new stream. Okay, yeah,
Wait.
It's gone.
It's gone?
Now it's back. Okay, start a new stream.
Oh, Christ's sake. Wait. Oh, wait.